Chapter 34, Marcus Pierce. Chapter 34. Marcus Pierce. Everyone is having a great time. Not only we're celebrating the agreement and alliance between our pack and the Cornerstone Pack, but we're also celebrating everyone's acceptance of my mate. My human mate. Nigel has been by my side the whole time and he never once leaves. He's glued to me and every time my eyes would meet his, my heart would somersault. After that he would give me a grin and hold my hand out. Cloud, who is hosting the event with the other alphas, is having amritas, a shaman drink that made me really drunk. As per Perry, I was worse than a kid when I was drunk, and I couldn't even remember anything, not until he told me what I had done and said to him. The amritas were given by the shamans as a congratulation for being successful with widening the allegiance between werewolves and other creatures. Also Cloud begins as his eyes the faces of his pack members, and once done, he looks at his mate Kieran, holds his hand and lifts it, and gives it a kiss at the back. Kieran blushes. I'd like to let everyone know that I'm getting married with my mate. I know it's a tradition with the humans, and even though we're mates and bonded already, I'd like to take him to the altar and make a promise. We both want to see us wearing a ring, signifying our undying love for each other. This is the first time this is going to happen, so I'd like to invite everyone to be a witness to that. The crowd cheers and they share a passionate kiss in front of everyone. Perry and Dave yell at them to keep it PG-13 and my mate and I both laugh at them. Nigel tugs on my arm and he jerks his head back to the forest. There's a faint blush on his cheeks and I want so bad to pinch it, but I'm sure he wouldn't like that. So I only nod at him, take his hand in mine, and lead him to the forest. If there's something that's bugging him, he can let me know and I'll be there to comfort him. Though I'm sure he didn't want to be alone with me just to tell me if he has a problem based on the expression he wears on his face. What is it? Nigel, his blush deepens and I assure him with a smile that it's okay to tell me anything. And I mean anything. If he wants to talk about how owls are doing in broad daylight, okay. If he wants to talk to me about what if the sun replaces the moon in night and the sun with moon in daylight, then okay. You can tell me anything under the sun. He moves closer to me and I look at him, unsure of what to do. Nigel reaches for the hem of my shirt and fiddles with it, hiding his deep shade red cheeks away from my sight, and I have to resist the urge to laugh because of his adorableness. I want to be with you. Furrowing my brows, I say, but you are already with me. I mean, we're together, right? Like we're dating. He nods at me, his mouth opening as if he wants to say something more, but he closes it and wraps his arms around me, burying his face in my chest. I wrap my arms around him and smell his intoxicating scent, a combination of melon and his natural smell. It tickles my nostril, getting into my system, and I can't get enough of his smell. I lean down and begin to suck on his neck, licking and nipping his sensitive spot, and a groan escapes his lips, to which I smirk as a reply. Tell me what you really want, Nigel, I murmur against his skin, my lips now attached on his collarbone, and I receive another groan from him. My fingers fumble with the hem of his shirt, my thumbs slightly grazing the skin on his stomach. I'll give it to you. Anything. Just tell me. Oof. He pants, his arms now on my back, gripping my shirt. I want to be mated to you. I pull him away out of my grasp, staring at him in his face, wondering if I've heard the right thing. Nigel looks up at me through his lashes, and the red tint on his cheeks never fade away. I cup his face with my hands and rest my forehead against his, shutting my eyes and slowly letting his words sink into my head. Nigel's grip on my shirt loosens and starts rubbing on my back. I like the feeling. Nigel, are you sure? Because there's no way I'm going to force him to do things he wouldn't like to do just yet. I want to be mated with him. Yes, so freaking bad. But I'd also like to make sure he really wants it. I can't fuck this up. We don't have to do this, you know. I'd like to do it with you when you're ready. I can't lose you over this. It's scaring me, I tell him honestly. My boyfriend tiptoes and plants his lips against mine to shut me up. And to be honest, that's the only assurance I need to know that he's all fine with him being mated with me. Are you really, really, really sure? I ask him, and he rolls his eyes at me. Because. He puts his index finger over my lips, preventing me from uttering words. I let out a chuckle. You're ruining my mood, he deadpans, then goes into a full grin. Yes, I'd like our relationship to move on to the next stage. To be honest, I've never felt this feeling before, the need to be with someone closer. It's all in my head. I never felt this with Julia. I only feel this with you. It's quite scary, honestly. But I'd like to try everything with you. I've been wanting to say you're so adorable, I murmur as I begin kissing his jawline and he tilts his head to the side, giving me more access to his neck. I ravish on his neck, inhaling his scent, and I sigh in contentment. I can't believe this is happening. This feels so surreal to me. Is this real? Is this a dream? No, he chuckles, slapping my shoulder. We're pretty much awake. Come on, let's leave this place. I pull away from his neck, much to my chagrin, and tug on his arm, pulling him into the direction of where my place is. Nigel follows me obediently, not uttering the word. The blush on his cheeks never leave, and it seems like it's finally beginning to dawn on him that we're really going to do the mating. There's fear in his eyes, and anticipation too. My house comes into view and I hear him gulp. My own heart is pounding hard against my ribcage, and I wish he could hear how it beats erratically. I wish he could see how nervous I am, as this is going to be my first time as well. I'm saving my virginity for my mate, and now that it's finally going to happen, my heart is about to explode. As we near the house, he takes the front of his shirt and fans it to himself. Despite the cold weather, the cold gush of wind, there's a trickle of sweat running down his temple. Once we are inside my house, he looks around, anywhere but me. I sigh. It's really okay if you don't want a D. I'm met by a pair of lips on mine, his arms curling around me as he pushes himself onto me closer, closing the gap between us. My hands rest on his hips, playing with the waistband of his pants. He nibbles on my lower lip, earning a low growl from me. My man continues to nibble on my lower lip, his hands roaming freely around my body. I swear if you don't stop now, I won't be able to hold back, I say through gritted teeth, his lips making my mind a mess, his touches sending me into euphoria. Nigel unlatches his lips from mine. Do I look like I want you to hold back? I pull him closer to me, our lips meeting once again. I tug the hem of his shirt rather harshly, and he immediately takes his shirt off, throwing it somewhere around, and my hands start to feel every part of his body from his flat stomach to his chest to his lean back. His hands are doing the same thing, and neither are stopping. Let's take this to the bedroom, shall we? I murmur in his ear. His brown hair is already tousled, his cheeks flushed, and his eyes are hooded. I lift him up and his legs wrap around my waist and he latches his lips on mine again. Despite his distracting lips, I'm able to manage to find my way into my bedroom. Once we're inside, I immediately place him on the bed gently without breaking the kiss. He helps me take off my clothes and I begin fumbling with the button of his pants. The inner beast in me wants to take over, my wolf wants to take over, my wolf wants to take over and just fuck our mate senseless. Nigel bites his lower lip, and just from the sight of it is enough to make me come, but I hold against it. He takes my shirt and throws it on the table, a few pens falling onto the ground. Discarding his pants off, leaving him in underwear, my eyes rake over his body and stay on the outline of his dick on his underwear. Nigel's eyes are dark, full with lust, and he lifts himself up. He begins to put butterfly kisses across my chest, paying attention to my hardened nipple. As he does so, he watches my expression, mouth agape, slightly shut eyes through his lashes. My fingers reach his hair and I grip it. His free hand plays with my bulge and I let out a moan. Nigel, I manage to utter, my legs slightly trembling. My man decides to take off my pants and I help him, taking off everything until I'm naked. His eyes stay on my package and I smirk at him. For a moment I see his Adam's apple bobbing up and down. I push him down and hover on top of him. Take off your underwear, I tell him huskily, leaning down and using the tip of my tongue to roam taste him. Nigel takes off his black boxers without using his hands, he's that talented. I give him a smirk as his tongue swipes across his bottom lip. He tastes salty, and it's good. I pay attention to his nipple, sucking, my tongue circling around it while my fingers play it with his other one. He writhes underneath me, his hands gripping the sheet, and my name escapes his lips. My cock throbs, wanting some attention, and Nigel hesitantly wraps his fingers around it, and I gasp for air. His touch is something else. Yeah, baby, go on. Nigel begins to jerk me off, sending me into frenzy, and I bury my face in the crook of his neck. You're doing great. I take his hand off and crawl down until I'm face to face with his dick. He looks at me in anticipation, his eyes dark and wide, and he watches me as the tip of my tongue makes contact with his shaft. Nigel moans, arching his back as I take him into my mouth. There's a pre-cum oozing out of the slit, and I begin to bob my head up and down. tasting him fully, and I'd say it's a surprising taste. It's kind of salty, but definitely just the way I like it. His hands grip my hair, pushing me towards his cock, and his hips thrusting upwards, his cock at the back of my throat. For a moment I nearly gag, but werewolves, for some reason, have good gag reflex, and I don't know why. My throat immediately adjusts to his size, not that he's that big, and begin to suck him hard like my life depends on it. I'm close. Nigel pants, his chest heaving up and down, sheets still being gripped. A few seconds later, he shoots his cum at the back of my throat, and I take all of it, not wasting anything, even just a drip. My man slumps down on the bed, his dick now flaccid. I clean him off before crawling up to him, my dick making contact with his, and I begin to thrust slowly. I can feel his cock beginning to harden again, and I smirk as he meets my thrust. "I want to do it with you, too," he rasps. "Are you sure? This is your first time, right?" "Yes." He pushes me back and I fall on my back, obliging. "And it's your first time, too, yet you sucked me off like a pro. I want to do it with you, too. I want to please you at the mention of that." He blushes and lets his growing bangs fall in front of his eyes. I lift myself up and brush it away to see those beautiful brown eyes. "It's okay, but if you want to stop, then stop, all right?" "Okay, so..." He wraps his fingers around my cock, a hesitant look on his face. I want to tell him to stop, that it's okay for him not to do it on me, but I don't want him to feel discouraged or annoyed. Instead, I give him a proud look, and that's all it takes for him to open his mouth and sucks me off. At first, gently and slowly, his tongue swirling around the head, and I shut my eyes, calming myself down. I just want to push myself deeper in his mouth, but I don't want to choke him. I just want to take this slow. He touches my ball sack, playing with it as he puts me into his mouth inch by inch. I see him gagged as he takes me deeper, and I feel bad for him suddenly. As I'm about to protest, he groans, glaring daggers at me, and him groaning while my dick is in his mouth is not really a good idea because right then and there, I come in his mouth. His eyes are wide. "Baby, that's not a good idea," I tell him, shaking my head. He shakes his head back at me. "Spit it out." Nigel purses his lips. He gulps. "I told you to spit it out." "You come quickly," he states the obvious. "And it's weird, the taste, but damn it, I still want to taste you." With those words, my cock begins to stir to life again, getting hard. Nigel climbs on top of me, his lips working its way from my stomach to my face, giving me butterflies kisses. "You're so hot," he murmurs as he begins to move his hips forward, his cock brushing with mine. Flipping us off, I begin to meet his hips, dipping my head down to capture his lips. His hand grabs my left bum, giving it a light squeeze, and his other hand grips my hair. The kiss is full of passion, need, and love. My mate kisses me like this is the last time, like there would be no tomorrow, like he would never see me again. My heart swells with happiness, as if it would explode in any moment now. Is this how it really feels? Is this what Cloud meant when we talked about how it feels to have a mate who accepts, adores, and loves you? Because it's so much more. I can't really explain it, but it's so much more than that. Nigel nibbles on my lower lips, tugging a bit hard, and for a moment, my wolf surfaces, eyes glowing blue, and Nigel gasps, locking his legs around my waist. My fingers trail across his legs to his entrance, my index finger poking his hole. Nigel flinches, a groan escaping his lips. Now the fear in his eyes are visible, and I wish I could kiss it away. Still, he continues to rub himself against me, indicating that he still wants to continue. I lift my index finger, sucking on it for a few seconds, his eyes watching me, and I slowly ease my finger into his entrance. He yelps, biting his lower lip hard enough to draw blood. "Relax, my love," I whisper in his ear as I push my finger deeper into his hole. But it hurts, and it's uncomfortable. There are tears pooling in his eyes now, but I brush it away with my lips. I rest my forehead against his. I promise it won't continue. Just relax for me, baby. I add another finger, which makes him flinch again. I capture his lips again just to distract him from the pain. I begin scissoring his inside, and he moans out when I hit that specific spot in him. "What's that?" he rasps, throwing his head back when I hit it again. "Ugh. Do you have lube? Condom? I need you now. I think I'm ready." "Condom? Lube?" I stare at him, dumbfounded. "Please tell me you have those." I don't. Oh, for Christ's sake, my mate groans. Then, how are we going to continue? Furrowing my brows, Nigel rolls his eyes at me. I've got Vaseline there. That should suffice as our lube. Is that enough? Werewolves don't get. You know, if that's what you're thinking. Which means you won't get it, too. Really, he tilts his head to the side, staring at me curiously. He sighs. I hate being a girl in this relationship. When we started this, I knew I would have to be the girl, you know. I scowl at him, shaking my head. Hey, I fell in love with a man. My mate is a man. You don't have to feel like a girl. Not that being girl is a bad thing. Trust me, if I wanted a woman as a mate, I would have complained already. But no, you were chosen, a guy, a man, as my mate. And I couldn't ask for more. You're perfect for me, in any way. Regardless of your gender, your hair, which is, by the way, so cute, your eyes and your build. Fuck it. I don't care what or who you are. I love you, and that wouldn't change. Just go get the damn Vaseline, because I can't wait no more. Nodding my head furiously, I jump off of him and run quickly into my bathroom to get the Vaseline. There are so many empty bottles that I have yet to throw. I wish I had done it sooner, and now I'm suffering since I have to check if they are empty or not. A few bottles fall down onto the tiled floor, clattering, and once I found the bottle that has a little left, which should be enough, I run back to my mate who's already, using one hand, gripping the sheet, his chest heaving up and down. His other hand is pumping his hardened member, his eyes trained at me. I need you now. I immediately crawl on top of him, and he takes the Vaseline out of my hands. He flicks the lid open with his thumb, lifts himself up, and pours it in his hand. He throws the Vaseline and grabs my erect and leaking cock, spreading the liquid around my cock. Once he's done, I push him onto the bed and kiss him, grabbing his hand, which has a bit of a Vaseline left, and use it to coat his entrance. Just be slow and gentle, his Adam's apple bobs up and down. I'd tell you when you can move. I'm so nervous, we're really doing this, huh? As I'm about to open my mouth, he continues. Shut it. I want this. I want you. I nod. I can't believe you really are my mate. Giving him a chaste kiss on the lips, I position the tip of my cock into his entrance. He rests his legs on my shoulder pads. As he gives me the go signal, I slowly push myself into him and he hisses, his eyes shutting tight as he spreads his arms, hands gripping the sheet. I moan out loud as I feel my cock stiffening inside him, his swallowing my cock whole. A tear slips my mate's eye, and I brush it away with my thumb. He opens his eyes and looks at me, pain evident in his brown orbs. I push deeper into him, my mate letting out a scream, my name escaping his sinful lips. Once I'm inside him, I take a deep breath, waiting for his signal for me to continue. His hands let go of his grip on the sheet, and he lets his arms curl around my neck, pulling me closer, and whispers in my ear to move. Your eyes are so beautiful, HMF, he says through gritted teeth. They are glowy. Ah. I begin to thrust in and out of him, slowly and gently. He claws my back, his legs wrapping tight around my hips. He writhes underneath me, eyes shut, mouth wide open. I pull away and slam back in, hitting the G-spot in him, and he throws his head back, moaning out my name. The temperature of the room begins to go hot, and we're both on fire as we continue to mate. Kairos, my wolf, howls, wanting to take over and fuck our mate senseless. I keep him at bay, though. Damn it, fuck, I pant in his ear as I continue to pound him. The bedhead starts to hit the wall, making a noise that is quite irritating, but we're too caught up in the moment to even care. Our bodies are pressed together, sweat sticking on our skins like a glue. Damn it, my mate's so tight. I grab his cock and start pumping him, sinking it with my thrust, and he urges me to go faster. He arches his back, mewling. There's a heat building just below my lower abdomen, my balls clenching, and my thrust becomes harder with much more force. Nigel keeps saying my name. I'm near, baby. Ah, yes, God, there I'm. Nigel's load comes spurting, landing on his chest and some of my stomach. My pace quickens and I hug him, pounding into him. Kairos resurfaces and the thrust becomes needy, rougher, and Nigel is already screaming at the top of his lungs, telling me to go on. After a few seconds as I pound him, I come inside him, coating his walls. My fangs appear and I dive into his neck, marking him as mine. As if he's a werewolf, Nigel bites my neck, which earns a moan from me. I slump on top of my mate, breathing in and out. I look at him through my lashes and he smiles genuinely at me, his eyes full of happiness. So does this mean I'm yours? That I'm mated to you now? Yes, I chuckle, capturing his lips. Yes, you are, and I'm so damn happy. You better not cheat, he teases me. I'm going to fucking kill you. Shaking my head, I hide a smile. You know I would never cheat, and it's hot when you curse. Fuck off. Totally hot. But. Chapter 35, Marcus Pierce. Chapter 35. Marcus Pierce. My mate's head is rested against my bare chest, his eyes softly shut and his lips slightly parted. His hair is messy, sticking up in every direction. His cheeks are flushed, giving him that innocent look, like a kid. Nigel's arm is draped across my stomach, and he makes that clicking sound with his mouth. There's a slight drool on the corner of his mouth. I laugh silently, shaking my head as I stare at my sleeping mate. I begin tapping his nose, forehead, and cheeks, appreciating his beauty. I woke up an hour ago, and yes, I've been watching my mate sleep since I opened my eyes. It's still dark outside, considering it's just 5 in the morning. He moves gently, draping his other arm across my stomach, and he snuggles closer, burying his nose in the crook of my neck. He murmurs something in his sleep that I can't quite understand before he moves the tip of his nose across my neck back and forth. I smile widely, my arm wrapping around his waist and pushing him closer to me, smelling the after-sex clinging into his body. I can't believe I have just mated with my mate. The bite he did on my shoulder is still there, teeth molded on my skin. His eyes flutter open, yawning as he pulls himself away from me. He blinks a couple of times before he yelps and rolls quickly out of the bed, landing on the floor with a thud. Nigel groans and I jump off the bed and rush to him, helping him up. His hand is on his bare bum, his teeth gritted as he hisses. Fear immediately strikes me to the core, thinking that he's probably regretting his action. He looks up at me and sees the panic-stricken face I have, and Nigel quickly wraps his arms around me, probably sensing what I'm feeling. If you think that I'm regretting it, no, I'm not. He plants a soft kiss on my chest, groaning afterward when the pain in his bum surfaces again. I sigh in relief, lifting him up bridal style and placing him gently on the bed. It's just that I was shocked because this is the first time I've done this, and it's awesome, I tell you that. It's just that. I guess I was still thinking. Heterosexually, like in a heterosexual way. That doesn't make sense. Okay, it's actually D. I lean down and plant my lips against his, shutting him up in the process. Nigel melts into me, kissing me back passionately, his hands cupping my face. I tug and bite his bottom lip, earning a moan from him, and he parts his lips, giving me access inside his mouth. I shove my tongue inside his mouth, tasting him, our naked bodies pressed against each other. He pulls away from the kiss, chest heaving up and down, breathless. Then he smiles. Thanks, I needed that, he rasps, giving me a grin. I needed that too. I thought you were regretting our mating last night, and I got so scared, I admit, resting my forehead against his. I shut my eyes and just feel him there, the heavy breathing, the erratic beat of our hearts, the warmth of our skin. So you're my mate now? Yes, I am your mate now, he chuckles, eyes glinting in amusement. Should we celebrate? Believe me, once we step out of this house, everyone will be cheering me and you for mating successfully. His eyes widen, mouth agape. His lips turn into a pout, and I chuckle, reaching out and hugging him. Don't worry, I'll make sure they won't tease you. Those bastards have been expecting this, waiting for this moment. The weather is nice today, kind of reflecting my mood. As we step outside my house, every pair of eyes turns to us, and I immediately catch sight of the two of my best friends who mean so much to me. Their brows are arched, and there's a knowing smirk tugged on their lips as they look at me, hand in hand with my mate. Meanwhile, my mate is feeling awkward. He has his hand rested against his neck, rubbing it, his eyes going back and forth between me and the ground. I squeeze his hand to let him know that I'm here and there's nothing to be ashamed of. He takes a deep breath and smiles, the corner of his eyes crinkling a bit. The place is a bit trashed. Strew of plastic, papers, table napkins, and empty bottles of Amrita are over the untrimmed grass, but everyone is already cleaning it up. They have dust pans, grass trimmers, a huge black bag for trashes, and any cleaning material. Marcus bites his lower lip, eyeing the broom that is rested over the tree, not being used. You don't have to do it, I tell him, slinging my arm around his shoulder and pulling him closer. He blushes, letting his bangs fall over his brown eyes, and I frown, brushing it away. I always want to see your eyes. It's just, everyone's looking and it's awkward, he reasons, pouting in the process. You were a basketball player, and I bet those games you played, a lot of people were watching you. My mate shakes his head. This is different. Oh. They are staring at me, at us, because they know we had sex, and it's weirding me out, and it's embarrassing. His cheeks are now a deep shade of red and he looks like a tomato. Almost everyone notices how red he is, but nobody dares to comment. He may be a human, but he's no ordinary mortal. Who knows what could happen if he got provoked? He might unleash something unworldly powers. I've been thinking about it, really. I know for a fact that he became the first guardian of the mortals, not because of me, a guardian of the werewolves. No, it's something deeper. There's more to it. I can feel it. I promise to unravel every mystery and secrets behind this. But other than that, I couldn't be more proud of my mate, of us. We took a long road to get here, and I can't believe that we're already mated, bounded. And it's stronger than I ever thought. Maybe it's because we have the same connection, a power that we can tap from the spiritual realm, or maybe it's because we love each other deeply. His back is on me, neck exposed as everyone catches a sniff of him. His scent is wafting through the air, reminding everyone that he's already taken and mated to me. Nigel, despite being shy and awkward, smiles genuinely at them. Kieran and Dave run towards him, slinging their arms around his neck. At first, a flare of jealousy burns in my chest, and my wolf growls inside my head, but when my mate looks at me, his eyes glinting with genuine happiness that makes my heart swell, I know that they pose no threat and that Nigel belongs with me, and only me. They both take him away and begin to talk. My best friends join me, Cloud on my left and Perry on my right. We all stare at our mates with a smile playing on our lips, and we know for a fact that we've been thinking the same thing. Our mate is here, and there's nothing or no one that can separate us. Man, I can't believe that we've all found our true love, Perry begins, shaking his head as an amusing smirk tugs on his lips. He eyes us and crosses his arms across his chest. Who would have thought that the big three would find their mates, though we went through hard stuff just to get them, and be contented. And when it comes to our mates, we still have something in common. They are males. Cloud laughs as he runs a hand across his face, and Perry joins him. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Kieran, Dave, and Nigel. They weave themselves into our lives and be part of it, and though it's not really them but the good goddess works, they unknowingly wrapped us around their little fingers. His big smile turns into a small smile, his eyes now trained on his mate, Kieran. And I can't believe I'm getting married with him. Hey, how's that going? Perry asks as he puts a hand on Cloud's shoulder. I turn to face him. Dave likes the thought of us being married too, but he says we're too young. I told him my point and that we're together, like forever, but he didn't listen to me. But I push, arching a brow at him. He's been thinking about adopting. There are a lot of orphan pups in the werewolf community. We have one center here in the town. Those pups are either a result of two werewolves not mated, or their parents left them. He likes kids, pups, you know, and I'd always find him in the garden playing with the kids, and I saw in my own eyes that he really wants to have a kid. Well, I'd say push it, Cloud offers, and I nod my head, agreeing. You both would be a great dads. Those orphan pups really you us. I think after Kieran and I's married, we'd have a talk about adopting. It hasn't really crossed my mind, not until you mentioned it to me. And the marriage. It's going smooth. Kieran wanted something simpler, but I wanted it to be grand. 2-1, I smirk, knowing the answer already. Cloud huffs and blows an air, shaking his head. Perry and I topple over, laughing as we throw our heads back. Dang it, we're all whipped, I chortle, and we both start laughing again. Our little fun earns a few heads turning our ways, but they immediately head back to cleaning or doing their own stuff. Nigel has a yellow flower tucked behind his ear, and he has a grin tugged on his lips. He must have sensed me staring at him because he turns his head and meets my eyes. Then he waves. Amor mieux. My love. Chapter 36, Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Chapter 36. Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. So pretty much everyone knows that I had sex with their guardian with Marcus, and I couldn't be more embarrassed. I can still feel the stares of the people here, their gazes burning at me. I guess this is the first time they have seen a werewolf really mated to a human. Probably they are checking to see if I've become like Dave, who eventually became a werewolf. But I don't feel anything besides the pain in my ass, that is. So I've tried my best to ignore their stares even though it makes me very uncomfortable. Yes, I was a basketball player and people had watched me play, but this is a different thing. They know Marcus and I had sex, and it's very obvious and they can smell it. As Dave and Kieran talk to each other, their hands gesturing towards the air indicating that they're trying to explain something, a very unusual smell tickles my nostrils. The scent is strong. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's really strong. I search for the smell, but something tells me that it's close to me. Very. My eyes land on Dave and Kieran, and the smell is coming from them. No, it's not really a body odor. It's not even a bad smell at all. They both see me looking at them and ask if I'm all right, to which I nod as a response. Hey, I don't know, but there's this scent I smell, and it's coming off of you guys, I tell them honestly. Listening to my own words, I don't, if it came out as rude, but they don't really look offended. Instead, they look curious and confused. No, sorry about that. I shouldn't have said that. Forget it. No, it's not that, Dave says as he scratches his left cheek, then he looks at his brother for confirmation. Kieran nods, looking perplexed. Does it smell like? Does it tell you basically to back off? I take another sniff again, and sure enough, Dave is right. Something tells me that I shouldn't be romantically or sexually involved with them, that they are taken, and that they've just done some deed. I nod my head at them, my brows furrowing. Kieran's eyes are now wide as if he has seen a ghost. Funny, because I would have never thought werewolves existed, not until I saw them. Dave Kieran begins and he looks for his brother's confirmation. Don't you think? Is there like a voice in your head? I listen for any voice, but there's only a voice of myself inside my head. No one else's. I shake my head. That's impossible. Nigel, you can smell that we're mated and belong with someone else. You can also smell that we've just had tea with our mates. Nigel, do you know what that means? I shake my head again. That's one of the traits of the werewolves, Kieran states. No way. I look at them incredulously, waiting for them to tell me that they're joking. But their expression tells me a different thing. They really think that I've become a werewolf just like them, like the way it happened to Dave. But there's no way. There's no voice inside my head other than mine, but the more I tell myself that it's impossible for me to become like them, the more it feels like there's a lot going on here that I don't understand. They couldn't be wrong about the senses I just displayed, but I couldn't be wrong about me being a werewolf. And all of this doesn't make sense to me now. Yes, it doesn't make sense to me. Is this happening because I'm mated to a werewolf? Is this happening because I'm mated to an extraordinary werewolf who is a guardian? Did I acquire some powers? Will I be able to wield them in time? And once learned, am I going to fight alongside with them? Listen, I was just an ordinary human who lived in peace with my ex-girlfriend Julia, and I happened to be interested with girls and their boobies and big bums and sulky lips, and I was just a high school student with a lot of passion in basketball. And now I'm mated to a werewolf, to a guardian of the werewolves who can shift into his wolf form and kick asses, and now the world is in danger, and somehow I need to participate because I, according to them, have been appointed as the first guardian of the mortals. See, none of this makes sense to me. Suddenly images flash before my very eyes. An image of an angel and a demon, their wings turning black and white. A hybrid. A connection between life and death. Chaos and order. There's also another man who happens to have a pair of black and white wings. The man has a striking green eyes that stares right at your soul, and he has a slicked black hair. He has a white coat on that pretty much covers him up every part of his body. His lips are not moving yet. I can still the words from what I'm guessing must have come from him. Angel and demon. Hybrid. Evil. Goddess. He has come face to face with me, yet I have this feeling that he's not really a bad guy. He's here to warn me, us. They must know. I also see a woman who has her palm hovering around the earth. Her black hair is spread out, her eyes are black like a void, and there's certainly no positive emotion there but hate. Her perfectly white teeth are showing, and she has a smug grin tugged on her lips. Her smile is scaring me, to be honest. The man just stares at me, and I've seen enough. My vision becomes a bit blurry, so I blink a few times before I open them again. When I'm okay, I open my eyes and see that I'm back where I'm met with the worried faces of my mate and friends. "Baby, are you okay?" Marcus says in a panic-stricken voice. As if my hand has a mind on its own, I immediately search for his hand and he hugs me. To say I'm scared is an understatement. No, I'm fucking terrified. I bury my face in the crook of his neck. Inhaling my mate's scent gives me a relaxing feeling in my racing heart, to which I only realize starts calming down. I slowly let him go, nodding in the process, and Marcus sighs in relief. "What just happened?" Perry asks. "I really don't know. 1 minute we were just talking, and then suddenly he just lost control," Kieran explains as he inspects me. His eyes turned green, and we thought he was being possessed. "I saw something. Someone," I explain, reliving the images inside my head. The man, the woman, angel and demon who are a hybrid. It was telling me about an angel and a demon who have become a hybrid. Wait, hybrid? An angel and a demon, Leandre confirms, his mate's chin resting on his shoulder. For a moment he scowls before his mate kisses him on the cheek. I nod at him. I know them. It has to be them. Slate and Hedraniel. They've been here and you saw them. After the war in heaven, their wings turned black and white. What about it? A man appeared inside my head, I tell them, recollecting my thoughts. And he told me about these two hybrids. I saw great danger. They must know. He told me they must know. Hold on, I'm going to contact them. I know where to find them. As if on cue, his mate whimpers. Oh, suck it up. I'm not going to be gone for too long. I'll come back. Leandre then kisses his mate on the lips. Then he spreads his white wings open, soaring high up into the sky. Are you all right? Marcus asks me as he gives me a glass of water. I thank him and drink the water in one down, thankful since my throat is becoming dry. Let me know if you need anything. I'll just be here. Marcus leans down and locks his lips onto mine. As soon as his lips land on mine, the world disappears and the stares of people quickly fade. He pulls away and rests his forehead against mine. You scared me for a minute there. I thought something bad happened to you. Don't worry. I'm perfectly fine, I assure him, and his eyes soften. Well, I guess Leandre is picking them up, he sighs. Once you see them, what now? Do you think it means something? It sounds like it concerns us. Everything concerns us, I muse, shaking my head. I think it started when you first saw me as your mate. I tweak his nose and laugh. True that, and look at you, already in my arms. Marcus plants a sloppy kiss on my cheek and I push him, laughing out loud as I playfully punch him on the chest. Seriously, I'm happy though. You made me complete. I really love you. Hearing him say I love you is like a magic. It always makes my heart beat faster. And I know I reciprocate the feelings back. Looking at it, I thought I couldn't let go of Julia since she was my first love, she was my first girlfriend. But somehow, my love for Marcus is deeper, more meaningful. And it's like we've always been meant to be with each other. Instead of saying I love you back, I pour my emotions, my love, when I kiss him. He puts his arms around me and I melt into him, my heart still racing. Yeah, I could get used to this. Chapter 37, Nigel Quinton Ulysses. Chapter 37, Nigel Quinton Ulysses. Chapter 37. Nigel Quinton Ulysses. The demon and angel have arrived, and we're huddled to a room called the Great Hall. The other alphas are also here, being within the United Packs. Kieran is looking at me with a worried look, and Marcus looks like he's about to take my hand away and run. I give him a small smile, but Marcus has a way to know what my feelings really are. And right now I'm scared. Everyone looks at me expectantly, and I feel my heart beating fast. And it's not in a good way. First, I introduce my name to the angel and demon. There are beads of sweat forming on my forehead, trickling down to my cheek. I open my mouth and explain it to them, my voice wavering. I'm really scared. My eyes meet Marcus and he bites his lower lip, concern and fear evident in his eyes. I would love running away with him, but what I saw in my head concerns all of us, and if I don't tell anyone about this, our lives might be in great dangers. That's the last thing I want to happen to all of us, and especially to Marcus. I encountered someone in my dream. I don't know if. It felt real. He was a guy with wings, black and white. The demon looks at me with his dark eyes, and a shiver runs down my spine. He looks scary and intimidating. Though this is not the first time I've seen him, but that doesn't mean that it made him less intimidating. He mentioned about two entities, one angel and one demon, being a hybrid. Leandre told us about you guys being the hybrid. That's why he brought you here immediately. What about it? What did he say about us being a hybrid? The angel asks us, and I see fear in his eyes, reflecting mine. He said there was oof. I don't know why it pops up in my head, but as soon as the name gets out of my mouth, something clicks inside me. Suddenly I'm at place where I can see everyone, but I can't move any muscle. I'm glued to the ground and everything around me is dark. Yes, I can still see them. This will only take a while. You need to trust me, Nigel. I calm my breathing, but the more I think about what's happening, the more scared I get. It's not because there's this Abizu guy talking now to my mate and everyone in the room, but it's because of the fact that I was once a normal teenager who had a passion for basketball and who had a loving girlfriend, Julia. And now, suddenly I'm the guardian of the mortals. Can you fucking believe it? When it's all done, I can finally breathe freely and I cough out loud, and Marcus immediately runs to me and hugs me tight. He has this panic look on his face, and that's when I break down. Tears run down my cheeks and I hug him back, not wanting to let him go, as if my life depends on it. Marcus plants a kiss on my forehead, and it immediately calms me down. He lifts my chin up and kisses me gently on the lips, and it's enough to calm my beating heart. "Do you want to take a rest?" he asks me, fear still swimming in his beautiful eyes. I nod at him, and he helps me stand up. They're gone. I think they've basically accepted their future and the impending war. And it's all thanks to you. Just let me know if it's unbearable anymore and I'll think of something to resolve it. You are no doubt the best mate in the world, I tell him, and his face softens. Nonsense. I'm lucky to have you. Marcus leans down and kisses me again on the lips, to which I oblige and accept. He nibbles on my lower lip, biting gently, and I let out a moan. He pulls out and rests his forehead against mine. I love you. Every time he says he loves me, my heart always somersaults. How can I be so lucky to have this werewolf standing in front of me as my mate? How did I get so lucky? And is it weird to say that I love him so fucking much? I love you too. I bury my face in his chest and his arms wrap around me, pulling me closer. I can never get enough of his scent. He smells really good. I can smell him all day and never get tired of it. He chuckles when he catches me sniffing him, and I roll my eyes playfully. The tears have long gone and got dried on my cheeks. Kieran walks up to me and I smile at him, thankful that I have made good friends here. Almost everyone has already left, and the people around me are only Kieran, Dave, Perry, Cloud, Marcus, and the Elder, to which I have yet to know the name. Are you all right? Kieran asks me, and I nod at him, letting out a sigh. I made Chanteloup stay. Maybe he has an answer to what's going on with you. What's going on with my mate? Marcus asks, his eyes now reflecting confusion. His eyes meet mine and I take a deep breath. Kieran meets my eyes and I simply nod at him, giving him the go signal. I'm not really sure as to why I suddenly have the capability to smell others like a wolf, but it's still there, the scent, and it's strong. But it's not the type of strong that makes me want to vomit. Earlier, before this happened, Nigel was able to smell us. Kieran begins and looks at the Elder expectantly. Cloud shares the same look as Marcus, confused. And no, it's not because we smell. He can smell whether someone is already mated and... Yeah, you all get it. A werewolf trait. Is that true? Marcus asks me and I nod my head. Is there a voice inside your head? Like a different person? If you're saying I have a wolf, then no, I tell them, shaking my head. I can still smell you guys, mated or not. I'm not really sure why, it's just so sudden. One minute I was with them, and then the next thing there's this scent I couldn't point out. And that's when they told me it's a werewolf thing. But no, I can assure you that there's no voice inside my head. I don't have a wolf. It could be because of the fact that you're mated to a werewolf, Chanteloup, the Elder says. Right now it seems like it's the most logical explanation. Or it could be a fact that you're the guardian of the mortals, or both. But this is the only case I've heard of this. Just like Dave. I may have to read Book of Werewolves again, but I'm not certain the explanation is there. Okay, you do that, Cloud orders. Make sure you let me know if you found something. Yes, Great Alpha. With a nod, Chanteloup gets out of the room. Marcus tenses against my touch and his eyes turn blue. Everyone heads outside except for Marcus, who seems torn between joining his friend's fight and leaving me here. A rogue, someone shouts, and Marcus pushes me gently. Nigel, stay here. Marcus cups my face and plants a long kiss on my lips. It's dangerous outside. I need to go outside and fight. Just stay here and I'll come back for you. Okay. Without waiting for me to reply, Marcus turns on his heel, jumps and lands on his wolf form. This is actually the first time I've seen Marcus transforming into a wolf, and to say I'm not amazed would be a lie. No, he is magnificent and awesome. I'm not at least a bit scared. I've just seen my boyfriend transform into a wolf and I can't help but admire it. The way he landed with grace is perfect. Marcus glowed when he transformed. The shouting continues and I can hear the snarls and growls of the werewolves. My heart races and I think of Marcus to calm it down, but it's not working. Somehow the images of him dying in the hands of the rogue keep flashing inside my head. Never have I felt so useless and weak in my life. My mate is out there fighting for others' lives and I'm here, doing nothing and waiting for here to come back. I know I was ordered to stay out of danger, but I can't just literally do nothing. I can't just stand here. I could help the others evacuate. Disregarding Marcus' order, I head out of the Great Hall and see Kieran commanding the others to go to the safe room. He sees me standing and runs after me. My eyes frantically search for my boyfriend, but I can't see him neither the battle. Kieran is talking to me, but I can't make out the words. I just need to find Marcus. I know it's dangerous out there, but I want to go where Marcus is. Kieran tugs on my arm, forcing me to walk. He's still saying to me, but my attention is not on him. It's on the people milling inside the room. He says something about everything is under control, and that it's not really a serious threat, but something tells me that there's something wrong here. Kieran pushes me inside and barks to go to the safe room. It's underneath this room, and there's a secret passage entrance just to get there. In front of me, leading the way, is Dave and the other Lunas who are trying their best to calm down everyone. Dave leads us to the basement, the safe room, which takes like 5 minutes to get there. The place is huge, and it has a complete set of the house kitchen, bathroom, bedrooms, and living room. Almost everyone seems shocked to see the safe room. Even I am shocked. The walls are covered with blank ink, and something ancient is written on the wall. My eyes trail to the elder, Chanteloup, and his lips begin to move, and what's written on the wall begin to glow. Everyone seems relaxed, but I'm not. I feel like there's something wrong here. Really. And I can't pinpoint what it is. My eyes scan the people and at the back of my head. A voice speaks to me, telling me that it's a trap. I try to relax my mind and my beating heart, but I can't shrug the feeling off. 20 minutes later, the metal door opens and the pack warriors, together with my mate and friends and the other alphas, come in. They've got wounds and Marcus' arm is bleeding. I gasp, immediately running towards him. I take his wounded arm and inspect how serious it is. I hear him chuckling and I send him a glare. The metal door closes on its own. Everything is all right, Cloud announces to his people, and everyone cheers. We have managed to fend off the rogues. We have also cleared the place, and everyone can get outside now as we deem it safe already. Then the feeling is back. I scan the people again, and they are preparing already to get outside. Something catches my eye. I can feel a different aura, and I can sense danger. Before they even reach the other, I stop them and Marcus looks at me with arched brow. No one leaves the room, I tell them, and Cloud seems taken aback with my words. I scan the people again, and there's one guy that catches my attention. His eyes are almost black, and I don't know if it's because we're in the underground where the sun doesn't shine through. But the different aura is coming from him. I begin walking towards him. Marcus calls out my name. Cloud and Marcus share a look. You're not from he. The man's hands wrap around my neck and turns me around. Marcus lets out a deathly growl that will make anyone fear for their lives, but the man is not even scared as everyone gasps. The man is not even scared and he just throws a smirk to Marcus. I look up while his hands are still around my neck and my eyes widen. This is not a man anymore. It's a demon. A demon wolf. You seem gifted. Little boy, the man breaths, fanning my face, and I cringe. I was only here for Kieran, but there's no point of hiding myself. His eyes turn red and he reveals himself. I am Daimonis, the demon wolf. Dark fog swirls around us and Marcus' eyes widen. He's beginning to panic, and this is where I can read him fully. I can see him preparing to risk his life just so he could save me. What's only stopping him is Cloud and Perry, who seem to really understand the situation we are in. One wrong move, and this demon could snap my neck and kill me. Don't you fucking dare hurt my mate. Marcus' eyes glow blue again, and this time I can tell that he's really angry. Almost everyone takes a step back, but my friends hold their ground. Just what do you want? He snarls. Daimonis smirks. You know what I want, Kieran's wolf or this boy's life. You choose. Cloud transforms into a wolf form but doesn't attack. Kieran backs off a bit, who seems to consider giving his wolf. Dave wraps his arms around his brother, comforting him. Perry's eyes turn yellow, his nails transforming into pointy ones. His fangs show and he bares it for Daimona's to see. I meet Marcus' eyes and he nods at me. I look down and see that Daimona's feet are bare. And he's still in his human form, which means that I'm capable of hurting him. He may be a demon wolf, but that doesn't make him immune to surprising attacks. I stomp his foot hard and Daimona's lets go of me, and his red eyes start to blaze. I run as fast as I can to Marcus, and once I reach them, Cloud lunges forward and starts attacking the demon wolf. Perry, in his half-wolf form, joins his alpha along with Marcus, who has transformed into a wolf again. Even though Daimona's is only one, the three are having a hard time fighting them. I can see that they are holding back this place as the safe room, and the people are still here with us, and they look scared. I'm guessing that the only ones who can open the door is my friends or Chanteloup. Daimona's gets a hold of Perry, who snarls at him, but Cloud manages to jab him on his side. Daimona's lets go of Perry and turns his attention to the Grey Alpha. If Isaiah really takes over, then it's not going to be safe here, Kieran says. I have an instruction from Cloud to never open the door until this is settled. Chanteloup, let them go one by one. I can feel this isn't going to end well. The Alpha comes hurtling in the air but lands on his paws gracefully. He lets out a deadly snarl and slowly preys on Daimona's. Perry swiftly slides on the ground and manages to wound his legs, but Daimona's attention is on him and his fingers turn into pointed ones and strikes down. Marcus is fast enough to save Perry. While in the process of saving him, Daimona's gets a hold of Marcus and does something that makes him turn into a human. Daimona's hasn't even transformed to a wolf yet he managed to hurt them. Marcus, I shout, panic rising up in my throat. Daimona's points his pointed fingers at Marcus' throat and his eyes glint evilly. Cloud and Perry stop fighting and Daimona's presses his index finger to Marcus' throat and he flinches. Your guardian, or Kieran's wolf Daimona's grits his teeth, clearly pissed. But no one dares to move. Call me. Fine by me, Daimona's says as he's ready to strike Marcus. Everything turns into a slow motion. I see blue particles around me. Call me. Someone flashes right before my eyes an image of a girl so beautiful. Her hair is black and flowing gently down to her hips, and she has gray horns protruding from her temple. She has a small, cute fangs. She's wearing a cyan dress, and she's showing a lot of skins. Call me. She smiles at me, and her green eyes twinkle in anticipation. Her hands move freely in the air, making some more of the particles, and those particles begin to move in motion, turning into a wolf and other entities such as pixies and angels call me. As Daimona's is seconds away from killing my mate, I call out her name. Celine. And just like that, the room glows, making everyone stop. Daimona's hurtles to the wall, his back hitting the inked wall, and he gasps. Marcus gasps for air, and they all look at me. At first I think there's a dirt on my face, but when I see my reflection in the mirror, my eyes widen. There's a woman standing behind me, and she looks like an astral projection. She's the same girl I saw in my head, but this time I can see how beautiful she really is. She sees me looking at her and winks at me, giggling. She touches my shoulder and I see everything. I see every wolf around the world flashing before my eyes. I see every angel above. I see the pixies. I see the world of Zodiac and how they are having a festivity. I see how the world was remodeled and how the entities were created, from werewolves to vampires. And I see a woman so evil it makes me want to hide in a corner and cry. I open my mouth, but it's not my voice that comes out. It's from hers. I am Celine, the good goddess and the creator of all good entities, she says. I point my finger to Daimona's and say, I'm vanishing, you go away, and just like that, Daimona's turns to dust as he screams for his life. Chapter 38, Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Chapter 38. Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Maximus. That's the spirit wolf goddess Celine has given to me. She said to me that when I call his name, the wolf will come to me and aid to whatever help I need. Of course, like a werewolf, I can hear his words, his thoughts, and his feelings. We can communicate through mind link, and since I'm mated to a guardian, it's best if I can mind link with them too. Pretty much everyone is still shocked that they have seen a goddess. Chantalupa Head Elder, noted that it's the first time in history that a goddess has made herself known and seen, and the fact that she sided with me and used my body as a host deems how special I am to the werewolf community. When Celine gave me the wolf, she only spoke in my head. The others are unaware that I can now call on a certain wolf to help us. To be honest, this feels surreal, too much for me, but at the same time I'm excited. This means that I can, in no time, relate how a werewolf community works. I can finally feel what they feel when they call onto their wolves to help them fight. After the fight with Daimonis, Celine admitted to me that she merely vanished him, but she didn't kill him. Apparently that is a battle reserved for Kieran and Daimonis. It's up to Kieran to decide Daimonis' fate when he battles with him. But she believes that there's some good left in Daimonis, as he was once a child of the moon. Baby Marcus wraps his arms around me and I lean into his touch, sighing in contentment as he places a chaste kiss on my cheek. You were so awesome back there. I know, I muse, grinning at him. My parents wouldn't believe this shit. I tiptoe and give him a peck on the lips. I'd never get used to having his lips on mine, but he can sure as hell put them on my lips anytime he wants, and for long he wants to kiss me. I wouldn't mind that. He smiles at me and my heart swells. Just seeing him smile at me like that is enough to send me into overdrive. It makes me crazy, it makes me breathless. Do you want to stay for dinner, he asks me, his eyes hopeful. As much as I want to stay with him, I can't. I need to go home. My parents are already home. They may not be around always, but I have a huge impact on their lives and they love me to death. I'm sure they're worrying themselves. He must have realized the conflicted expression on my face as his face falls, but he smiles in a second. Then at least let me take you home. I can't have my mate wandering around all alone. He lets out a chuckle and I punch his chest lightly, to which he feigns hurt. I roll my eyes playfully at him. The Great Alpha has discussed the preventive measures when in danger and how sorry he is for not being able to detect that someone is in the safe room with us. Everyone agreed that it's not his fault and that there are things he can't deal on his own. He may be a Great Alpha, but that doesn't make him immune to committing mistakes. Everyone also agreed that if it weren't for me, their Luna's life, which is Kieran, would have been in great danger, and that's something the Great Alpha can't take. Cloud has decided that he will have to get help from the other worlds. Marcus holds my hand out and together we walk through the forest after I bid goodnight to my second family. Yes, I have come to realize that they are close to my hearts and I would do anything just to fit in with them. Marcus loves his pack and I'm loving it too. I may not like it at first, but that has changed long time ago. We're still visible around the area and Marcus looks at them one more time, mind-linking the others that he will take me home. Cloud looks at our way and waves, as well as Kieran and Dave. I halt to a stop, biting my lower lip, deciding whether it's time to call Maximus. I want to see it for myself, and I sure as hell want Marcus and the entire pack to see my wolf that has been given to me by the good goddess. I halt to a stop and Marcus looks at me with a confused expression. I want you to see something. I bite my lower lip and Marcus' gaze falls on my lips and he lets out a groan. I blush, seeing what he has in mind. Damn it, why is my mate so damn sexy? I heard that. You did. I nod my head at him, grinning. What do you want to show me? Taking a deep breath, I shut my eyes and let Maximus' name rolls inside my head, and then I call on to him. There's a deep rumble in the sky, and the wind gets a bit colder. I can feel Marcus gaze at me, and I let out a small smile. Maximus howls. I know it's him, and every hair on my arm stands up in anticipation. I feel his paws landing hard on the ground as he runs to me. I hear the pack warriors communicate through mind link that they have seen a glowing white wolf leaving blue dust as its trail as it runs fast. When I open my eyes, I see the Great Alpha is on his stance, ready to fight for whatever is coming. I turn to look at Marcus and nod at him, hearing the communication through mind link. I run towards the field where everyone is still gathered. Maximus' fur is whitest thing I've ever seen. His left eye is a color of blue, and the right one is of yellow. His eyes meet mine, and he trudges happily around me, curling just around my feet, and I let out a chuckle. He's not as big as Cloud's wolf or Marcus, but I can feel he's just as good as them. Everyone is pretty shocked, especially Marcus, who by the way has his mouth agape as he stares at me wide-eyed, and the wolf curled around me feet. How Marcus asks me, still wide-eyed. Celine, I grin at him, wiggling my brows. Your mate Maximus says through mind link, a mind link just between him and his connection to the earth, Nigel. He never really expected that he'd be chosen as the moon goddess to take care of someone, let alone one of the beings who has a key role in defeating the evil, the moon goddess sister. Nevertheless, he feels special, especially now that the connection is strong between him and Nigel. Maximus is one of the right hands of Selene, and it's quite weird for him to have another master other than Selene. With him being on Earth, Selene will be able to tap into this universe with the help of Nigel and his mate Marcus. It took a lot of power for her to make Nigel as her host, but it will take a lot of power for her to stay. What everyone doesn't know is that she's becoming weak. It's all her sister's doings. Since her sister is playing unfairly, it's best for her to use some tricks. This is the reason why she interfered with the beings of the universe other than what she created. She knows that her sister creates things messily, leaving some of her creation unprotected. But with the help of her children, the human guardian, and the special rogue and demons, they'll have a chance of defeating the evil, who at this point is ready to be awakened. He is cute. Back off, I say to him through mind link, rolling his eyes, but I can't help but feel happy. Maximus has his eyes set on Marcus, then switches his gaze to me. He's mine. Since I'm your wolf now, he's now my mate, too, Maximus argues, his eyes changing colors between blue and yellow. Selene gave you a wolf, then you can call, Marcus clarifies as he walks towards me, bending down as he pets Maximus, who in returns leans into Marcus' touch. Everyone is awed at what they are seeing in front of me. Even though Maximus is a spirit wolf, he can be very much touched. Upon seeing the great alpha, Maximus uncurls himself and walks toward him, bending down his head in respect to Cloud. He does the same with Kieran, who shyly nods his head at him. That is so awesome. Marcus stands up and wraps his arms around me, showering my face with kisses, and I gently push him away, whining, but I low-key loving it. My mate has a wolf, Marcus announces to the pack, and he begins kissing me again. I laugh, unable to suppress my happiness, and Maximus playfully jumps on Marcus, tackling him to the ground as he licks his face. Oh, your name is Maximus. Such a cute wolf you are. Marcus makes googly face to my wolf, and I tug Maximus' thick furred tail, getting his attention. It's a sad reality when you are jealous of a wolf. But all in all, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm together with Marcus. Though I know this isn't the end, I believe this is just the start of a battle. Ever since Selene made me as her host, I can feel the evil rising. I've seen the hunters, and they are preparing for a great battle. I just need to warn them and be prepared. Chapter 39 Nigel, Quinton, Ulysses. Chapter 39 Nigel, Quinton, Ulysses. Maximus has given me a ride while Marcus transformed into his wolf form, getting home since my parents were already waiting for me in the house and they would like to see me. They have also gotten a call from school, stating that I have been absent for most days and they would like an explanation. They didn't sound angry when they called me over the phone, but my mom sounded disappointed with me. So now we're in the front of my house while my heart is beating rapidly, pounding against my chest hard as if it wants to burst out of my chest and run off. I let Marcus know to come with me, and I want to introduce him to my parents as my boyfriend. I don't know what their reaction would be. I mean, I've known my parents since I was a kid, and I know they aren't religious and all that shit, but something at the back of my head tells me that they wouldn't accept me. That fear is there, right in my heart. I have read stories about a person coming out as gay to their parents and friends, but they didn't accept them, or worst, the parents kicked them out. I don't want the same thing to happen to me. My parents may always be away, but I love them to death. Marcus seems to realize the anxiety rolling off of me, and he takes my hand and gives it a light squeeze, resting his forehead against mine as his breath fanned my face. I lick my lower lip, my whole body slightly trembling, and his eyes flick over it. He looks at me for confirmation, and I give a slight nod as a response, so he leans down and captures my lips with his. At first the kiss is sweet, gentle, and passionate. The way his lips mold against mine is perfect, like how it's meant to be in the first place. I can feel the emotion, the electricity passing through as we share a magical moment. Marcus cups my face, and his other free hand rests at the back of my neck, pulling me closer and deepening the kiss. He nibbles on my lower lip, asking permission to slip his tongue in, so I part my lips and he slips his tongue inside. This time he kisses me rougher, hard, but just as passionate. He pulls me closer, his hand at the back of my neck moving downward to my waist, his fingers lifting the hem of my shirt. While his tongue roams inside my mouth, tasting every part of me, his thumb draws circle against my bare skin. As if that's not enough to make me crazy. The whole time my eyes are shut, but that doesn't stop my eyes from rolling at the back of my head. After a few minutes of making out in front of my house, Marcus pulls away and I whine internally at the lost contact of his lips from mine. He smiles at me and I feel my fear and anxiety fading away. He has that power on me. "Better?" he asks, his voice soft as his eyes bore into mine that makes my heart skip a beat. I nod my head at him, smiling just as big as he's sporting. "Better." I take a deep breath, finding the courage to just go inside my house and tell my parents what's going on with my life, of course, leaving the part that werewolves exist, or else they'd think I'm on drugs or some sort, and tell them that Marcus is my boyfriend. The last time news they've got from me is how Julia and I were doing, so I can already see the shocked expression they are going to make when they learn that I have a boyfriend now. A hot one. Taking the knob of the door, I release the breath that I've been holding and look at Marcus, who in return smiles bright at me, winking. I let out a small laugh, glad that he's here beside me and more glad that he's my boyfriend. I shake my head, turning the knob and opening the door. The television is turned on as the volume is set a bit high than normal, indicating that my father is watching. There's a noise in the kitchen area, and I hear the pops of the kitchen oil. I smell Hungarian sausage, since that's my dad's favorite. I take my boyfriend's hand and let him in. "Mom, I'm home," I announce, and my mother practically runs out of the kitchen. Once she sees me, she runs toward me and wraps her arms around me, telling me how she has missed me so much. "Mom, seriously." She pulls away, whacking the back of my head that makes me groan, and looks curiously at Marcus. That's when my dad comes in and sees what's going on just in front of the ajar door. As my father sets his eyes on me, he opens his arms and I hug my dad, missing them so much. If I weren't in deep shit at the moment, I would totally cry in front of them. "Who's this dad?" asks as he looks at Marcus. Marcus is about to introduce himself when my mom squeals and rushes past into the kitchen, yelling that the sausage is burning. Mom yells at us to settle ourselves in the kitchen, not asking if Marcus wants to stay. "Young man, you have a lot to discuss with us." "Boy, it's past 8. Are you staying for dinner?" "Yes, he is," I tell my dad, who nods his head, and all the three of us head into the kitchen where my mom has already laid out plates and our dinner is prepared. There are cooked Hungarian sausages and sunny-side-up eggs, a mixed vegetables and corns in a large bowl, and a pitch of orange juice. She has also cooked rice as she knows my dad loves them dearly. He is quite a big fan of rice. He always has it every breakfast, lunch, and/or dinner. The smell of the foods all mix in, tickling my nostrils, and I hear my stomach grumble, which makes Marcus chuckle. I hang my head low in embarrassment, and my mom begins placing 2 scoops of rice and sausages and an egg, as if I'm a 3-year-old kid that needs to be taken care of every second by his parents. I groan internally, feeling myself even more embarrassed. For God's sake, I have my boyfriend in front of me who is smirking at me. He's seated right next to me, and sitting across from me is my dad and mom. So my mom begins and I gulp inaudibly. Marcus' hand reaches my thigh and gives it a light squeeze. "Your school called me and the principal said you've been out several times. Mind explaining that, sweetie?" I purse my lips, unable to say the real reason why I haven't been going to school. I can't just open my mouth and tell them, "Oh, it's because I got caught up in the shittiest shit." Werewolves exist, and they have transformed several times before my eyes, and yeah, by the way, I was mated to a werewolf who is a guardian. It's a bit long to explain, but I have all the time if you want to hear it from me, and actually he is sitting here with us. And yeah, the craziest thing, I was assigned as the first guardian of the mortals. Now, it doesn't sound so really bad, but my mom would immediately call an ambulance, or they'll ask me to talk to a psychiatrist as there might be wrong with my head. "Is it about Julia?" Sweetie, upon hearing Julia's name, Marcus tenses. Now it's my time to squeeze his thigh back, assuring him that he's the only person I'm romantically involved with, and no one's going to change that. "Did you have a fight? Did she break up with you? Or did you break up with her? I've always loved that girl." "Mom, Julia and I are through. We broke up already," I tell her honestly, and Mom's gaze softens. She knows how special Julia is to me. I know I should still be angry with her for not clarifying things with me. She didn't really give me enough reasons before she decided to leave me for good. She is my first love, and she will always have a special place in my heart. "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry what happened," she presses, and my dad just shakes his head at my mom for being such a nosy mother. He just doesn't want to tell her, because she can be a bit of an Amazon sometimes. It just didn't work between us. "Would you like me to talk to her?" I know you still love her." "Mom, no," I shake my head at her. I can feel Marcus getting uncomfortable every second. He probably thinks that my parents still love Julia and would prefer her to be still with me. But I'm adamant that I'll tell them right in this table that Marcus is my boyfriend. "A lot of things have changed while you and Dad were gone. I know I'm not making you feel bad because it's all right, I understand your work environment. But yeah, a lot of things have changed. I don't love Julia anymore. And I thought, maybe she only had a problem or something like that. But she didn't tell me. And after that, I met someone." "Oh, really? Could you tell her name to us? What is she like?" my father butts in, putting a spoonful of rice and egg in his mouth. "I bet she's beautiful. But her beauty can't be compared to you, honey." "Oh, stop it," my mom giggles like a high school teenager, and I roll my eyes at them. Grabbing Marcus' hand underneath the table, I turn to look at him and his eyes twinkle. In his eyes, I can see love and happiness swimming in his beautiful orbs, and I feel my heart swell. Even though his lips are set on a line and his face has a blank expression etched on it, I feel the happiness radiating off of him. All it takes is one look, and I can't believe how lucky I am to have found him. "Mom," I put Marcus and I's intertwined hands, and the both of them stop at their flirting to look at me and Marcus. My heart beats faster, but it's not because I'm scared, but because I'm excited to finally show off Marcus to them. This is Marcus, and he's my boyfriend. They become silent. Dad continues to eat while my mom is still staring at us in shock. She has a furrowed brow. She looks confused as she stares between me and Marcus. Dad doesn't say anything, and I'm afraid he didn't take it well. As he's about to shove another rice in his mouth, he stops himself and looks at me right in the eye. "Oh, sweetie," my mom stands up from her chair and hugs me from the back, basically choking me. "Is that the reason why you were having a hard time? Are they bullying you? Do they throw hate comments to you? My poor baby." "Mom, no," I groan, shaking my head at the thought. I just had to think. "Okay," my father laments. "But you still love basketball, right?" Yes, I do," I chuckle, and he grins. "I bet I can still kick your ass." Is that a challenge I'm hearing? It is. My dad cackles while my mom heads to Marcus, hugging him tight, and Marcus feels really uncomfortable now. I look at them in amusement and Marcus mouths to me help, and I just shake my head, laughing. "Tomorrow we can play." "Sure," Dad agrees, nodding his head. "Make sure you sleep well, and please prepare your losing speech." He throws his head back and laughs, and I roll my eyes playfully. Marcus and I share another look, and we both smile at each other, glad that they are taking this well. As long as I'm with Marcus, everything is going to be all right. He looks at me like I'm the most prized possession he has ever received in his whole life, and my heart constricts. I love him so much that I will do anything just for him to be happy forever with me. And the fact that we're going to spend our lives forever since we're mated just makes it even more magical. Chapter 40, Marcus Pierce. Chapter 40. Though. Marcus Pierce. Nigel is back in school as requested by his parents. It shouldn't bother me as much as it should, but there's a nagging feeling in my chest that tells me it's not safe anymore for Nigel to be back in there. Of course, as his parents, he should obey them. We talked about it in his room, and we both agreed that he will be accompanied by 4 pack warriors, but they'd stay away from him as much as possible. After that talk, we snuggled and slept in his bed with the door unlocked as his mom told us to do. That didn't stop us from feeling each other, though. Even though Nigel had a school today, we stayed up all night and we slept around 3 in the morning, knowing that he has to get up by 6 a.m. to prepare for school. We couldn't help it. My wolf wanted him, and this time it was stronger. The need was stronger, and the mate bond was not helping at all. I wanted to rip his clothes out when his hand started kneading my hard member through the thick fabric of my pants. But we didn't go all the way. If we did, his parents would have heard us fucking like 2 bunnies who couldn't keep their hands off each other. So when we woke up at exactly 6:34, Nigel jumped off the bed with a still raging hard-on as he ran to the bathroom, screaming that he's going to be late. His parents overheard, and they thought he was already awake. That's why they didn't wake up him. Pancakes and fried hot dogs were prepared by his mother, and just like last night, they treated me like I was their son. Nigel's mom has already approved of me, but his dad threatened me that if I hurt his son, I'd meet his bare hands around my neck. As if he could do that, and as if I'm going to hurt Nigel. Never in my life am I going to purposely hurt him. I swear to myself and to the goddess that I'm going to protect him with all my life, and that I'd never let someone hurt him. I love him so much, and Nigel deserves a better life. so I'm going to give that to him. I'll always be by his side no matter what. So as Nigel hurried and gobbled the pancakes his mom cooked for us, I watched him and chuckled. How did we get so lucky? My wolf asked, and I just shrugged, my heart fluttering at the sight of my mate, who was brushing his hair upwards using his fingers. He bid his parents goodbye, kissing his mom on the cheek, and we both ran outside and his parents looked at us like we've lost our minds. I'm training a new set of pack warriors, a total of 15, when his scent invades my nostrils accompanied by the other 4 scents I assigned as his entourage. My wolf whistles at the smell and I grin to myself. Being away with our mate is sometimes taking its toll on us, but we've always known that Nigel will always come back to us. I tell them to go on break, as we've been practicing for about 3 hours now non-stop, and they gladly do so. When Marcus sees me, he immediately runs and knocks me back with his hands wrapping around my waist and we both fall on the ground. I let out a gasp, surprised, but a big smile etches on my lips as he showers my face with kisses. I'm sweaty and I probably smell like an old hag, but Marcus doesn't really care. He tightens his arms around me, burying his face in the crook of my neck, and takes a big sniff. I can feel his heart pounding against his chest and my heart flutters, knowing that I have a huge effect on him as much as he has on me. Nigel looks up at me through his lashes and my breath hitches. He looks so fucking beautiful. The sun shines on his face, giving him an angelic look that's so beautiful. His lips are slightly parted and are inviting, so I lean down and press my lips against his in a gentle manner. I just like to savor the feeling of his lips molded against mine, and when his lips collide on mine, it never really disappoints. His lips give me this satisfaction feeling that I can't comprehend and describe. It's heavenly, but at the same time it's sinful. I force myself to pull my lips from him, and he groans at the loss of the contact. I let out a chuckle and cups his face in my hands. I miss you, I rest my forehead against his and he shuts his eyes, his breath fanning my face. I've been so restless knowing you were alone in that shithole called school. He grins and buries his face in my neck again. I know, and I'm sorry. I love you too. Nigel presses his lips on mine again and deepens the kiss, tilting his head to the side. His palm slides to my neck, resting there and pulling me closer. I smile against the kiss, heart pounding hard against my chest as he begins nibbling on my lower lip, earning a low growl from me. There's a throaty cough that cuts us off and Nigel yelps, pulling his lips away from mine. I turn my head to glare only to find Perry, who has his arms crossed across his chest and he has his brow arched at me. Nigel's cheeks flush and I flip Perry off before we both stand up and shrug the dirt off. Is this part of the training with the new pack warriors? Perry asks as a smile threatens to make its way to his lips. I roll my eyes and flip him off again, because that doesn't look like it can be applied when in combat. Nope, not really, I tell him, shrugging. But my hand can be applied to your face with a force that will knock you out. Perry bursts out laughing as he puts his hands on his stomach, trying to gain control of himself, and Nigel's whole face is not beet red. Go do your thing, I'll train these new warriors, Perry says as he recollects himself and lets out a sigh, but his eyes are still twinkling in amusement. Next time don't do it in public though. I know we're werewolves, but hey, we still need to keep it decent. Thanking Perry, I grab Nigel's hand and decide to take him in my home. Nigel's hand is warm and soft, perfectly fit in my mind, and I smile at the thought. We hurry, footsteps getting faster and faster, until we reach my house. Once we get inside and the front door gets locked, I immediately push him on the door, catching him off guard, and my lips immediately land on his. After a few seconds, he kisses me back. Nigel's hand rests at the back of my neck while his other hand freely roams around my body, starting from my chest to my shoulder down to my stomach. He kisses me back with so much intensity I feel myself beginning to get weak. My mate tugs my shirt that is soaked in sweat, and in a few seconds, my shirt is being thrown away on the floor. We pull away for a few seconds just to catch our breaths before we kiss again. This time harder and rougher, full of need and passion and love for each other. I fumble with the buttons of his checkered polo, wanting to feel his skin against the pads of my fingers. He lets out a moan when I start attacking his neck. I start licking my mark and he lets out a throaty moan. His hand, the one that's resting on my neck, hastily reaches my hair and he grips it tight as I start biting and tugging the skin on his collarbone. Without wasting my time, I dip my hand in his underwear, grasping his already hard member in my hand. I hover my thumb around the head, feeling the hot pre-cum oozing out of the slit. I watch him as his brows furrow, his mouth opening, and a silent scream escapes his lips. I begin pumping him slowly, but my thumb is continuously teasing the head of his member. I peck his lips and press my forehead against his. Marcus, my name, rolls off his tongue sweetly, and I shut my eyes, my underwear tightening as he grips my hair. My wolf wants to take over. He wants to fuck Nigel out of his mind until he's rendered unconscious from our love-making, and I try my best not to let him. I take a deep breath and open my eyes. Nigel throws his head back as he begins to thrust in my hand frantically, wanting release. I want you so bad. So fucking bad. Same, I let out a chuckle before burying my face in the crook of his neck, pressing myself closer to him as I begin fondling with his balls. You have no idea how hard for me to stop myself from ravishing you. I whisper huskily in his ear, biting the lobe, and he lets out a loud moan. Then don't, he groans as he throws his head back. Ravish me all you want. I'm yours, so please. My eyes darken at his words and my arms wrap around his waist, lifting him up. He wraps his legs around my waist as his lips collide with mine rather harshly. I rip his checkered shirt, the buttons scattering on the ground as he gasps. I lay him down on the couch while my lips begin trailing across his jawline down to his exposed chest. I pay attention to his pinkish nipple, the bud already hard, while my free hand twists the other one. I suck on his nipple, and he shivers, throwing his head back as his eyes roll at the back of his head. After a few minutes of sucking, I do the same with his other nipple, giving the same attention. My fingers fumble with his pants, tugging it off, and Nigel eagerly slips his legs off his pants. His white boxer is already stained with cum, and I smirk to myself, knowing that I'm the one who caused that. After giving his nipples enough attention, I slide down and my face meets his underwear. I slowly slide in my fingers and look up at him. Nigel is looking at me in anticipation, biting his bottom lip, his eyes clouded with lust. Without wasting more time, I begin sucking his cock, and Nigel throws his head back again. My fingers begin playing with his ball as I continue to suck him, going as far as deep-throating him. My tongue slides up and down his shaft, licking until I reach his head and my tongue twirls around it. Pulling my hand, I begin teasing his hole while I continue to suck him off. Inserting one finger inside him, he yelps and starts writhing against my touch. He pants as his hooded eyes meet mine. I let go of his dick and Nigel grabs my shoulder and pulls me closer. He smashes his lips on mine and kisses me like this is the last kiss we will share. He fumbles with my pants before shoving it down and getting a hold of my hard dick. I hiss at the pleasure and Nigel leans down and starts sucking me. My legs begin to buckle as he continues to play with my cock. I moan out his name as his teeth accidentally graze the skin and I throw my head back. Inserting another finger in him, he groans and that sends shiver down to my every vein and I hold myself from releasing in his mouth. Once I know that he's prepared, I grip his hair and force him to pull away from my cock. He bites his lower lip again and I begin kissing him. I place him in front of me, his bum hanging out of the cock, and I position myself. He rests his legs on my shoulders and I slowly make my way in him. He gasps as he grips the cover of the couch. I lean forward and lick my mark as I push myself deeper in him. Nigel screams my name as I begin to pound in and out of him, his eyes rolling at the back of his head as I continue to pleasure him. As I make love with him, I begin murmuring, against his skin, how much I love him and that I'll do everything to make him happy. I continue to thrust in and out him, my hips meeting his, and the slapping of our skins echoes throughout the room, mixing with the sounds of pants, moans, and grunts coming from each other. Feeling the fire in my lower abdomen, my thrust becomes harder and I clutch Nigel tighter, leaning down and resting my head against his chest as I plant small and gentle kisses across his skin. I grab his leaking cock and begin pumping, cinching with my thrust, and Nigel bites his lip enough to draw blood. A few seconds later, Nigel shoots his load in my hand without warning and I take a deep breath, still pounding him. As I pay attention to his belly button, I feel myself releasing inside him and I scream his name. His chest is covered with his cum and there's a few on my hand. I grin at him and kiss him on the lips as he lets out a contented sigh. I'm so lucky to have you, he murmurs before shutting his eyes, exhaustion creeping up on him. I smile at him, even though he can't see me. Slowly I pull out of him, seeing him wince and my load leaks out of his hole. I resist the urge to slam back in, seeing that my mate is already tired and needs rest. I tweak his nose and he lets out a faint smile that makes my heart flutter. I'm so happy I found you, my human mate." Nigel murmurs in his sleep, and I chuckle at his state. Carrying him bridal style, I decide to put him to bed as he's tired and exhausted. I smile at an image of me and him in the future, getting married. I can't wait to have that with him. Chapter 41, Marcus Pierce. Chapter 41. Marcus Pierce. There has been multiple attacks of rogues in the other packs, but this time it got worse. After I contacted a few alphas and offered them help, to which they gladly accepted, they told me that this time they've allied themselves with hunters. Hunters, for fuck's sake. Who know hunters had the heart to ally themselves with what they hate the most, werewolves? Now, it's really not safe for my mate to walk into his school every weekdays, especially that the school he's going to is within the borderline of another pack I tried to go to before meeting my mate. That pack could be the next target, and I'm panicking right now because it's just 4 in the afternoon and my mate leaves school at 5, and he might be in danger and I'm not there to protect him, and it's going to be my fucking fault for not being there beside him. Even my wolf is having anxiety right now, whining and thinking about the endless possibilities about what could end up. I really hate this feeling. This is one of the feelings I don't have control to, and the only way for me to feel at ease is to really confirm that my mate is safe. As if Nigel is sensing my uneasiness, which I know he does because he has now a senses of a werewolf, even though he's not completely a werewolf. Which is awesome, by the way. He emerges from behind me and wraps his thin but long arms around me. He buries his face in my back and I immediately sigh in relief. I've been overthinking things that I didn't get a chance to smell his presence. Damn it. "I know you've been freaking out. I can feel it," Nigel mumbles, and I turn around. He unlatches his arms around me and looks at me through his lashes, and I can't help but smile because he's the cutest boyfriend and mate ever. I know that there have been attacks of rogues to different packs, and the attack pattern isn't clear, and I know I can protect myself considering I just have this power, but for your sake, I want you to see me in one piece and unharmed. "Thank you," my wolf immediately yips, and I chuckle. Grabbing his hand while my thumb gently draws a circle on his skin, I pull him closer to me and rest my forehead against his. Nigel shuts his eyes. The sun is just about to go down, the sky an orange hue, the light hitting his face, and it gives him this aesthetic look that's worth Instagramming. Not that I have that application. I don't even have a phone. I mean, I do, but I don't. Not really. Phone isn't that much important to me, but if I do have an Instagram, you already have an idea whose face is going to be uploaded every minute. Yes, you guess it right, it's my damn mate and no one else, and I'm probably going to put captions like, "This is Nigel. He's mine and only mine," or "Everyone, back off. This is my fucking mate and no one's allowed to look longer. Thirsty fuckers." I know you have this awesome power now, and no doubt you can protect yourself, but I just can't help it, you know? I mean, I have the handsomest mate, and I don't want him getting hurt. Nigel blushes, burying his face in my chest. I grin. "You're an idiot." I know, I reply, guiding his hands around my waist, and we sway gently, making sounds of the nature as our music. Also, I'm crazily, deeply, madly in love with you. Only fools rush in. But I can't help falling in love with you. Did we just quote-unquote a song? We did. Should we continue? Hell yes. So take my hand. Take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. It's already at night and we just had dinner. Nigel's parents are out again, which means he's stuck in the pack house again, with me. Nigel has already brought enough clothes when he got here. He came prepared because he doesn't want to run back and forth between his house and here. It's just a waste of time, according to him, as he wants to spend time with me as much as possible. I grinned at that. I may have blushed too. We're in my room. I'm sitting while he's lying down, his hands tucked beneath his head as he stares at the ceiling. He has this dreamy look on his face that gets me curious, but I don't bother asking him. A small, genuine smile is playing on his lips. I just watch while he plays out a memory inside his head, a memory I would like him to share with me, but it's okay if he doesn't. I know he's not thinking of some other men or Julia because he's mine and we're mates, so it'd be me. I love watching him. And I mean that in a non-stalkerish way. I lie down beside him and he immediately rolls to the side facing me, his hand tucked between the pillow and his left cheek, and he smiles at me. My heart beats faster. Even though he has brought clothes here, unpacked and put it in his own drawer just beneath my drawer. He wanted to wear my shirt and pants, which are really cute on him. The best boyfriend and mate ever. Did I tell you how awesome of a mate you are? I prompt an arm to support my head while I look down on him as I twist my body to the side to feel more comfortable. Nigel just smiles and shakes his head. Well, you are. Boyfriend of the year and my mate. His hair is unkempt, sticking out in every direction, his bangs messily brushed to the side so it wouldn't hide his beautiful eyes. His pearly white teeth that peeks out when he always smiles. His cute little dimple on the left side of his cheek. His pinkish, perfect, sinful lips puckered out and inviting. Everything about him is perfect, and I couldn't be more thankful for the good goddess for giving me such a beautiful and life-worth mate. I still can't believe that I mated to you, and that werewolves exist and other stuff. His hand flies up in the air while grinning. He doesn't seem so disappointed that this is all happening to him, and that this is real. I can't believe I thought I'd end up with Julia forever and that I was fully straight, not until I met you and I was having these thoughts. And I knew that wasn't because of the mate bond. I was having a thing for you and it was driving me crazy. So even without the mate bond, you'd still fall for me. Yes, without hesitation. I like that. Some things are just meant to be. Are we playing again? I muse, winking at him. He shakes his head, still smiling. We've always been meant to be, and I love that idea. I love how you came into my life and changed things upside down, not in a bad way, but in a good way. I was pretty scared at first, but then you held on, and I know I felt, even though I had no idea what mate bond is, it's because you're really into me. Maybe I tease, leaning down to kiss his forehead. But, with or without the mate bond, yeah, some things are meant to be. I'd still find you cute, maybe hang out with you because I'd think you're cool, and maybe fall in love soon. That's the alternate us, when there are no werewolves and other shits. Just us. Humans. He shuts his eyes. Two straight guys falling in love while in the process of being great bros. I love that. We both stare into each other's eyes. It's like seeing the entire galaxy. I can't look away. We pull ourselves closer, scooting forward to each other, until our bodies are pressed. Soon enough we're making out passionately, and then our shirts are gone, as well as our pants and boxers, and it's just us. Two mated guys naked, hearts beating us one, alone in a bedroom. We make love. Twice, thrice, I can't remember. All we know is that we're loving every minute, second, with each other, and nothing matters but us and our strong love for each other. We're laughing, playing, doing dumb stuff, and we don't care how loud we are. We're just enjoying our time together. I've never felt this happy before. I'm so happy that if my heart has eyes and has a capability to cry, it would. I don't want this to end. I don't want this moment to end. I just want to be with him every hour, minute, second of my life. Nigel smiles at me. It's already 12 in the midnight, and almost everyone is pretty much asleep, and we just got done having a wild sex. Fourth time? I lost count. Because it's always been amazing with him. Making love, sex, it's been amazing. I love you to the moon and back, I reply. I love you, with or without the mate bond. Nigel chuckles and positions himself, my legs spread wide, and he settles himself in between, his back pushed against my chest. Without the mate bond. We listen to each other's heartbeat, like it's some kind of a soothing music you'd like to listen to just because you're happy or feeling jolly. I smile at our position and rest my chin on his shoulder. He looks at me and tweaks my nose, and I playfully bite his index finger. He lets out a laugh, and we wrestle for a few minutes before a shout breaks us out. Rogues. Hunters. Chapter 42. Marcus Pierce. Chapter 42. Marcus Pierce. As soon as I hear the words rogues and hunters, my first instinct is to keep my mate safe and tucked in this bed we're lying in. But the moment my eyes meet his, I know that I'm thinking the wrong thing. Despite the want to protect and save him from every possible harm, I can't just tell him to stay here while he waits for me to come back like a spoiled wife. Nigel is not my wife. He's my mate. He's special. He can fight with me. I cup his cheeks, planting a gentle kiss on his lips, and he shuts his eyes for a moment, his hand resting on my nape and kissing me just as passionate. Both pulling away breathless, I rest my forehead against his and smile at him. Meanwhile, outside, I'm already hearing the fight between the pack and the werewolves and rogues. I hold his hand and give him a nod, and we both stand up from the bed and run as fast as we can to the battle happening outside. The other Lunas are helping the people to go to the safe place while my mate's eyes glow blue, probably sensing if there's an enemy hiding in plain sight. Nigel looks at me and shakes his head, and I sigh in relief. I unlatch my fingers from his and tweak his nose, and my mate gives me a hopeful smile. My heart swells from the sight. "Kairos, you ready, buddy?" My wolf growls in response before I take off and let my wolf takes over. Kairos' senses immediately flood me. He growls, eyes pinning every rogues in sight and hunters hiding behind the trees. I see Isaiah, Cloud's werewolf, running towards the forest, his paws pounding the hard ground. He goes for the rogues in plain sight, shooting arrows made of silver towards his direction, but Cloud swiftly dodges it. But the aims of the hunters are almost perfect. If they're shooting at just a regular werewolf, they'd have 70% chance of hitting them. Hunters are skilled like that. But this is Cloud. This is Isaiah. They are the great alpha, and they are stronger. It would take a massive amount of silver to kill Cloud, and that won't happen tonight. Kairos runs freely across the field, heading straight to where the hunters are hiding. A series of arrows fly in my direction, and Kairos dodges it, but there's one arrow that grazes past his fur, earning a hiss. His eyes squint, detecting and sensing the culprit. When his eyes lay on this one hunter, whose hair is blonde and disheveled, his black belt hanging lowly on his waist, a quilt full of arrows attached on his back, and a bow in his hand, Kairos runs like a lightning bolt, catching the human off guard. The hunter tries to launch another attack, but Kairos' paws slit across the hunter's neck, killing him immediately. An arrow hits the ground just beside where his paw is, and Kairos switches his gaze from the dead hunter to the culprit. The hunter is smirking, his bow aimed at Kairos. There are 3 arrows pointed at him, and if Kairos attempts to even move a single muscle, those arrows will fly and hit him. Kairos and the hunter just stare at each other. As the hunter is about to shoot Kairos, a white wolf that has a blazing blue trail knocks him to the ground. Maximus. Kairos runs and slashes him in the chest, earning a scream from him. Another slash, and the hunter is dead. Maximus happily trudges towards Kairos and lets out a small purr, rubbing his head on Kairos' neck. Kairos returns the gesture, licking his face, and their eyes see a struggling Nigel, who's fending the other rogues on his own, shooting bolts of white from his hands. Both werewolves run towards him, and I feel the panic rising in me and my wolf. We help Nigel defeat the rogues surrounding him. One has his neck snapped, the other one gutted in the stomach, and third one is beheaded. My eyes catch Blaine, my best friend, who I haven't seen for so long. His eyes are red, and his fingers are claws, indicating that he's in his semi-wolf form. I understand, though. If he were to switch, they may target him as an enemy, not knowing that he's a friend of the pack. Accompanying him is a demon who is bringing one rogue high up in the air and letting him fall freely. His mate. I see Dave, Perry, and Kieran, who are in their wolf form, fighting the rogues and hunters. Meanwhile, Cloud is busy kicking the hunters' asses hiding in the forest. It takes 30 minutes before the hunters and rogues have been taken down. There are only 3 rogues standing in front of us, cornered. The reason Cloud hasn't killed them yet is because they are a family. The rogues are in their human form, growling and glaring daggers at us. At least the 2. The woman rogue is holding a baby in her hands, his eyes shut softly as he sucks on his thumb. Kieran and my mate tend the people in the safe room, providing necessary assistance. The guy, who is at his early 30s, has his eyes set on us while the woman tries to look for a possible escape route. Not possible. They are surrounded, and they're being watched. "Great Alpha, your decision," Damien asks as he looks at Cloud, who still has his eyes set on the 3, especially the baby. The baby begins to cry. This could be part of their strategy. Failed strategy. Why would they carry a baby in a battle? Cloud doesn't answer. His eyes are fixed on the crying baby, and that's when my mate and Kieran appear. They stop in their tracks once they see the rogues and the baby, and something in my mate's eyes flicker. They've allied themselves with hunters. No wonder they'd decided to pull this off, Cloud says. That's a low blow. What would you expect from rogues, Cloud grunts. Why have you allied yourselves with hunters? Your kind has killed enough lives. Isn't it enough? Why the hunters there are warriors from the pack that have been killed and their family is mourning? Answer me. The rogues freeze, and the baby's cry gets louder. The man with red eyes, indicating that a wolf has taken over. Rogues have allied with the hunters in return of their protection. A safe haven. And you believed that? Yes, the man runs his hand across his jet black hair, his red eyes meeting the great alphas. And they can't break their promise or else what they want wouldn't be given. And that's him, the rogue points to Dave, and Perry immediately wraps his arms around his mate protectively. Why would they want him? Because that's the guardian that should have been killed hundreds of years ago, the man claims. Dave rests his face on his mate's chest, not looking at the rogue's way. He poses as a real threat than any of you. And why is that? The man purses his lips and his mate holds his hand, smiling sadly. They probably think that they're going to get killed. If that's Cloud's decision, then so be it. I just hope Nigel doesn't freak out if Cloud decides to kill the baby too. Because the leader of the hunters is his wolf's mate. Dave's eyes glow blue. That's impossible. She's dead. And my mate is here. She was resurrected, the rogue continues. I don't know how, but she was. Dave shuts his eyes and Perry seems hurt. He knows there's going to be a conflict once Dave and the leader of the hunters see each other. We all know that Dave was a human before, but somehow a werewolf spirit went into him and merged with him, and now they are one. Perry hugs his mate and Dave cries, burying his face in his mate's chest. Even if she's alive, I have a mate now. She rejected me. Ian chose to let go of me through the forbidden law because of her. She was the reason why hunters existed. She was possessed, and you're the only one who can free her from the misery, the rogue says. Dave cries harder and Perry seems about to cry too. Meanwhile, Cloud is staring hard at the rogues. He takes a step forward and the man lets out a feral growl. The woman shuts her eyes and I look at my mate, who's looking between the rogues, the baby, and Cloud. Kieran holds his mate's arm and Cloud looks at his mate. They seem to share thoughts with each other, but Cloud looks like he has made his decision, and that's to kill this family. My mate blocks Cloud's way, making the great alpha frown. I'm about to take my mate when he speaks in a gentle voice. You don't need to kill them, Nigel states, shaking his head. They are rogues, yes, but I feel like they've allied with the other rogues for safety. Am I correct? The woman nods furiously. The baby cries harder. We can let them stay here. Nigel, they are rogues, I state the obvious. And so is Blaine. But here he is, accepted by everyone. My mate looks at Blaine and back to me. Cloud stills. Kieran hugs his mate. Dave stops crying, Perry planting gentle kisses on his face. Great Alpha, I know you want safety for everyone, but killing these rogues will not give them safety. They're innocents and a victim. They resorted to the last option they saw, and they were welcomed with open arms. Shouldn't we do the same? Cloud doesn't say anything. Instead, he looks between my mate and the rogues. Nigel looks at the rogues and offers his hand to them. The woman hesitantly takes a step forward, but the man stops her. Their eyes meet, and the woman nods, taking another step forward while holding the crying baby in her arms. Nigel smiles at them, urging them to take his hand. You don't need to be alone. You're with us now. The woman stops, grabs Nigel's hand, and he smiles the brightest smile. The woman does the same thing. I'm Nigel. Tara, the woman replies. And this is Kyle. And that guy over there is my mate, Corey. Kieran walks to my mate's side, and the baby stops crying. The baby stretches his arms up, laughing as he closes and opens his fingers. Cloud seems hesitant to accept them as officially part of the pack, but when Kieran cradles the baby in his arms and the baby giggles as he touches Kieran's face, I see happiness in Cloud's eyes. Corey walks towards his family, wrapping his arms around his mate and kisses her temple. Look at him, Cloud. Isn't he cute? Kieran gushes as he tweaks the baby's nose, and the baby lets out a series of a high-pitched giggle. Cloud looks at the baby, and the baby tries to reach for him with his tiny little arms, making Cloud chuckle. I love him already. More than me. You're still the only one. Cloud chuckles and kisses his mate on the lips, making the baby playfully swing his tiny arms up and down. Corey and Tara look at their son being held by the great Alpha and Luna, and they smile, relief flooding their face. "Cloud, would you like to do the blessing?" Nigel says. I look at Nigel in confusion. Blessings. Everyone looks at Nigel. This baby is an alpha, and destined to become the next great alpha. In line. Nigel's eyes glow blue, and he smiles at the baby, touching his forehead, and the baby stills, looking at my mate in curiosity. He lets out a chuckle. And goody, his mate is here in this pack. He's not really your child, is he? Corey shakes his head. He's not, but his father was an alpha, and before he died, he asked us to take care of his child. We were runaways. We will hold a meeting about this, Cloud tells the two rogues, and they nod. But for now, I'll let you guys rest. Perry, lead them to the guest room so they can take a rest. Kieran, little Kyle needs them. Kieran's face falls, and he sighs and hesitantly gives the baby to them. As Tara holds her arms out, the baby starts crying, shaking, and his arms frantically swing as if he's pushing Tara away. Tara laughs and shakes her head, eyes glinting in amusement. He seems to like you so much, you can hold him while we rest. Kieran's face lights up. She nods. Okay. Perry and Dave lead them to the guest room, and Nigel walks to me and wraps his arms around my waist, resting his head on my chest. He lets out a heavy sigh, and a smile creeps up on his luscious lips that I badly want to kiss. So I lean down and capture his lips with mine, and he kisses me back, hand immediately going for my hair while the other one rests on my nape. Nigel presses his body on me closer, wanting more. I bite his lip, earning a moan from me. As we both pull away, we rest our foreheads together, and I grin. You're really special, you know that? He nods. Because you're my mate. I shake my head. Because I love you, I peck his lips. Do you know who his mate is? He shakes his head. Not a clue, but all I know is the mate is here, or will be born here. And he's the next great alpha? Awesome. With one last grin, I capture my mate's lips again, and he chuckles while kissing. I really love this guy. Chapter 43, Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Chapter 43. Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Tara and Corey, as well as baby Kyle, got accepted into the pack with the approval from the other alphas. But they still need supervisions, just in case I'm wrong about them. In my eyes, with the influence of Celine, they are really good rogues, just like Blaine, who is now mated to a demon. I can't believe I used to be so jealous of him because Marcus wanted his company, and they were always together. But now I realize how stupid that is. Marcus is my mate, and Blaine has a mate. We can't be separated from our mates. The two rogues were given duties. Corey is going to patrol with the pack warriors in the day patrol routine, and he's giving out the information about rogues and the hunters, while Tara is given a pack house duty along with the other female werewolves. Almost everyone was uncomfortable at first, but when they realized they held no threat, they became fond of them. They're that nice. Meanwhile, Kieran is obsessed with baby Kyle. While Corey and Tara are working, Kieran gets to babysit Kyle, and he's loving every second of it. He has become like a mother figure to the baby, and Cloud doesn't mind. I can already feel that Kyle is going to be a huge part of their lives. Corey and Tara don't mind letting Kieran babysit Kyle, as long as Kyle wants it and Kyle really wants it. He's always laughing and cheery and in a happy mood when he's with Kieran. Cloud has yet to bless Kyle. When Celine whispered into my ear about Kyle being the next great alpha, I immediately knew what needed to be done. Once Kyle has been blessed by Cloud by holding a ceremony once the full moon is out, he will officially become a huge part of an inevitable battle, along with the others. But for now, the baby needs to be blessed and loved. I've sensed that as Kyle grows up, he will have to face a lot of troubles in his life, and the people who love him need to be around always to guide him. Arms wrap around me from behind, and I immediately smile, knowing who it is. What are you thinking about? Marcus murmurs in my ear, placing a gentle kiss on my neck. Kyle, Kieran, Cloud, a lot of people actually, including you. Mind telling me Marcus continues to kiss my neck. I've learned to deal with PDA. With werewolves, it's okay to be lovey-dovey with your mate in public, as they are not going to judge. Everyone does it, except for those who have yet to find their mates. I knew I had to get over it and just deal with it because it's how things work here in the werewolf community, but sometimes I want to show affection to him alone where no one's watching us. I'm that selfish. Kyle will have a hard time adjusting as he grows up due to his nature, I tell him honestly. I turn to face him and cup his face in my hands. He's going to be different in a lot of ways. Kieran and the others will need to be around him for guidance and love him for who he is. And it's going to get hard because, while I know his mate is here or will be born here, they will have a complicated status. I just feel it. Kieran is already smitten by him, so no need to worry about that, Marcus chuckles. And everyone has never had it easy, really. We were on a complicated status before, but here we are. While you don't have a control as to what's going to happen in the future, you can control a part of it by playing a little role to the kid's life. Or to anyone's life. Who are you and what have you done to my boyfriend, I tease. Marcus throws me a smirk, leans down and kisses me gently on the lips. My hand immediately goes for his hair while the other one snakes around his neck, pulling him closer. His lips are perfect, and I'm living in the moment. I feel like I'm in heaven, enjoying the treasures of life has offered, and Marcus is definitely of it. I'm glad to have him as my mate and by my side. My heart swells with happiness and a tear slides down my cheek, and once Marcus realizes that I'm crying, he immediately pulls away and panics. I smile at him, letting him know that it's okay. I hug him, resting my head on his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart pounding against his chest. I feel so happy being with him, and I'm thanking God and every deity for this moment, for Marcus, for everyone that has been part of my life. I just love you so much, and I'm so thankful you're mine, I cry in his chest. My mate holds me close, and when I look up he's got teary eyes. He puts a gentle kiss on my forehead, and his lips linger there for a moment before pulling away. Marcus cups my face and rests his forehead against mine, shutting his eyes. I'll always be here by your side. You give me happiness. You always bring light to my life. I chuckle at that. You complete me. We complete and love each other, and that's enough. With or without the mating bond. With or without the mating bond, he nods, opening his eyes for the first time, and I see how extremely happy he is for everything that is happening. The ceremony is being held. The full moon is out, and everyone is watching in anticipation as Cloud watches the baby in Tara's arms. I'm standing beside Marcus, and we're in the stage in front of the crowd. Torches are lit around the packland, and the pack is heavily guarded with the help of the other beings just to make sure we're not going to be interrupted. Tara holds the little Kyle to Kieran, who smiles in return as he cradles the baby werewolf in his hands. He smiles brightly at the baby, who in return giggles as he throws his hands up in the air, trying to reach for Kieran's face. Everyone is all smiles when Cloud walks forward. Earlier, Cloud told everyone that this is a night to remember as we're going to witness the blessing of the next great alpha. Everyone cheered for that. Kyle is going to be so special. He may be a rogue, but he's being offered all the love the pack has for him. Especially Kieran. Cloud may or may have not noticed it, but Kieran definitely loves the kid. Kieran moves forward and stands in front of Cloud, holding the baby for him to see. Cloud leans down and observes the baby. Kyle opens his eyes, and it glows red. Cloud just smiles at the kid, putting a hand on his forehead. Kyle lets out a fit of giggles, thrashing playfully in Kieran's arms. Cloud utters no words, he only prays for the kid. I move forward, calling out Celine, and a strong wind gushes past us. I feel her presence behind me, but only I can see her. She smiles at me, her fingertips reaching for the kid's face, and the moon glows brightly than ever. Kyle looks up, as if he's seeing Celine, which I know he does for some reason. Celine grabs her hand and Kyle's eyes flicker between red and yellow. The moonlight shines on baby Kyle, an indication that he has been blessed. In the future he will take the mantle of a great alpha, and I can't wait for that to happen. As soon as the baby werewolf has been blessed, the light of the moon fades and a half moon glows on Kyle's forehead. Everyone cheers again, clapping hard and whooping. Marcus wraps his arms around my waist from behind me and rests his chin on my shoulder. I look at him and grin. Celine whispers to me that this is not the end of the fight, that this is not the end of the battle, but rather the beginning of it. I shiver at her words, but when Marcus tightens his hold around me, I know that I shouldn't be scared or worried, or both, because he's here with me, and my friends, and she is. And I know we're going to protect each other no matter what. Because we're family. The battle with the rogues, the battle with the hunters, it will end. But the love we have for each other will never. I love you so much, Marcus whispers, placing butterfly kisses on my neck, with or without the mating bond. I love you too, with or without the mating bond. The world may have some evil, hatred, and uncertainty, but we're here. We're living here on this earth, and we're here to stop those from spreading. As long as Marcus and I are together and my family, we can overcome everything. With or without the mating bond. Epilogue. Nigel, Quentin, Ulysses. Marcus kisses my cheek as he turns off the television, his tongue darting out and licking my skin down to my neck. He looks at me through his lashes and then grins as he sees my expression. My lips are parted, a silent moan escaping my lips as he continues licking the soft spot on my neck that sends electric shocks to my system. In 5 years that we're together, never once he got tired of me. He makes sure I feel loved every day, hour, minute, and second. We had our ups and downs, and we will continue to have those as we're not perfect couple and mates, but we have an agreement that whenever we fight, no one makes sure to sleep it off. Before we go to sleep, we'd always have a talk about what happened and let our differences aside. Marcus makes sure to explain his side very well and understood, and he doesn't want me getting upset just because I disagree on something he said. I couldn't ask for a better boyfriend and mate, because Marcus is really a blessing to me. Sometimes I wonder what I've done to deserve him. I was just a simple human, and I had a girlfriend. But Marcus went extra mile and made sure that I'd be his. I had a fear that somehow, even though I've known we're mates, we would end up like what happened between me and Julia, my ex-girlfriend, but he assured me many times that it wouldn't. He also revealed something shocking to me. Julia has a werewolf boyfriend and she's mated with him. It's the reason why she broke up with me. I wasn't really angry at Julia, no, but I was disappointed because she left with no explanation. She didn't clear it to me. All I knew was that I felt like I wasn't good enough and that I had done something wrong. But when Marcus told me about her, I immediately knew why she had to keep it. Humans don't know that the fantasies they have read in a book exist. They all do. And it's hard to explain to a human. I experienced it. The confusion, the denial that everything wasn't real. But it is. And I'm glad they exist because I wouldn't have met Marcus if they weren't. Julia belongs now to a pack called Milestone Pack, who has allied themselves with the United Pack, and her mate is a fierce warrior from there. We got the chance to see each other, and to say that she's not shocked would be a lie when she saw me. Her mate, whose name is James, introduced us to his pack. But when Julia and I saw each other, she just straight ran up to me and hugged me tight, as if she hadn't seen me since forever. She was crying her eyes out. There was a brief tension between me and her mate, but it was settled when Marcus explained to James that we're high school sweethearts and best friends. After that, James let it go and became happy for Julia when she was reunited with me. Dad, Uncle Marcus, and Uncle Nigel are getting naughty in the kitchen, yells a 5-year-old Kyle who has become Kieran and Cloud's adopted child. Kyle still considers Tara and Corey as his parents, but he also likes to call Kieran and Cloud Dad or Papa. Tara was more than willing to have Kyle adopted. They have an agreement that they are going to be both his parents. So if Kyle wants to spend time with Tara and Corey, then it's okay. The kid has a free will to live which house he wants to sleep and eat in. Marcus makes a face and Kyle does the same, and they both grin after that. "Where's your Papa Cloud?" Marcus asks him. He's still in bed and being lazy. "Isn't he a lazy alpha?" Kieran chimes in, opening the fridge and getting an orange juice. He pours himself a glass of it and drinks it in one down. Kieran has matured a lot ever since he got married to Cloud 4 years ago. We were the happiest pack and Cloud claimed to be the happiest werewolf. The celebration lasted for a week, and they kept receiving gifts from the allied packs, wishing them well, even the conservative ones. They are both happy at what they are doing. Kieran is busy doing his Great Luna duties, but he has a lot of free time when it comes to Kyle, Cloud, and his friends. We have grown closer, and it makes me happier that he considers me as a family more than a friend. Dave enters the living room with a baby in his hands, cradling it. Perry and Dave are also engaged, and the marriage is going to happen soon as they are busy preparing it. Both Perry and Dave decided to adopt a pup, and they named it Keith. Dave and Kieran told us Kyle and Keith are going to be the best of friends. When I looked at Keith, I know he's destined to be mated to a girl born in the allied pack, but I'm having issues seeing Kyle's future. It went to the point that I even called Celine, and she only told me that time would only tell it when the right moment comes. But I trust her, and she seemed confident that Kyle would grow up loved and taken care of. "You seem tired," Kieran says to his brother as he puts the glass on the counter. Perry Dave only says with a grunt. Of course, Perry is a very hormonal guy. It still makes me awkward when someone discusses their sex life publicly. And for a once human, Dave really did a good job ridding the barrier. He's free to tell his family whatever he wants to tell them, but for me, I like my story with Marcus for him and myself only. It's not because I'm selfish, well, maybe I kind of am, but I want to be the only one who knows what he does romantically to me in our bedroom. Christmas is just a few days away, and we've been planning a party since last month. The people in the United Pack are excited and they've been helping each other out. They want this party to be as successful as we wish it to be. The United Pack has gotten bigger. Before it was just 5 packs tied. Now it's 8 packs. Our place looks like a town already, but in the woods. Cloud and the other alphas decided to have put up a fence surrounding the United Packs, and they have constructed towers. With the help of the other entities, those fences and towers are not visible to humans. When someone tries to cross the territory, they will be routed back to where they come from. Marcus also spoke with Troy, the enchanter, and Chase, the wizard, to make a portal between here and my home so I don't have to travel far or call Max to bring me home. So Marcus doesn't have to worry when I have to go home. 5 years ago, I introduced Marcus as my boyfriend to my parents, and they accepted him like he's their own son. Whenever Marcus comes home with me, my mom would gush about how cute we are and how handsome Marcus is. Marcus gets shy around my parents, especially around my dad. He sometimes joins with us when Dad and I are playing basketball. There's this one time Marcus jumped so high that it left my dad baffled, and just to cover it up, I told Dad that Marcus was part of the track and field team in my school, and he's a very good volleyball player. My dad believed us. He doesn't need to know that my boyfriend is a werewolf. That wouldn't end well. Marcus wraps his arms around me, leaning down and resting his chin on my shoulder. I turn to look at him. His lips and eyes are smiling. I couldn't ask for a better mate. I said that already, but still I'm so lucky to have him in my life. Let's get married, I whisper. His eyes soften and he kisses my cheeks. I hear Kyle saying stop doing the naughty, but Marcus pays him no attention. He nods his head and turns my body so we're facing each other. He rests his forehead against mine. In this moment, we don't care if we're doing PDA. As long as you're ready, and you want it, then let's do it. We're getting married, I announce to everyone, and the first one to scream is Kyle. He runs to us, jumps on Marcus, his arms and legs open, hugging my mate tight. Marcus lets out an oof and carries Kyle. Everyone claps their hands and Kyle places his arms around Marcus' neck. Kyle gives me a toothy grin. I pinch his cheeks and he pouts cutely at me. And we're adopting. We are. Yes. Yeah, we are adopting. Marcus Pierce. Nigel has his arm draped over my stomach as we lie down peacefully. The moon is shining bright over us. We just made love. His naked torso is pressed on me, his head rested on my chest. He leans backwards and kisses my chest as his fingers trail across my skin, sending sparks throughout my body. Nigel's touch never fails to not have an effect on me. Every time he touches me, I feel lightheaded, like I'm on the clouds, and it feels very surreal. Nigel rolls over, leaning forward and using his arms as a support to his weight, his eyes meeting mine. I tweak his nose and he chuckles, his eyes crinkling. In 5 years, he has grown a bit taller and buff. Considering that he has done a lot of training with us, the werewolves, he would like to be included in the warrior trainings, and Cloud granted that. He may not be a werewolf, but he's powerful. Selene, the good goddess, has blessed my mate, and he's the host of her. Everyone knows not to mess with Nigel, even me. In the past 5 years, there were only a few attacks by rogues and hunters. None of the United Pack members were killed. As a guardian of the werewolves, I still do my duty to keep peace and balance the world. As for my mate, who is the first guardian of the mortals, it's a tough job. 3 years ago, when there was an attack, the hunters nearly kidnapped Dave. Unfortunately, one werewolf, who's a warrior, found his mate amongst the hunters. The hunter was a girl, and she was conflicted between doing her job and her mate. She knew it. But then Nigel came in, and he explained that having a mate is the best blessing ever. Nigel knew he had to save the girl, and he knew that it was what Selene wanted to happen. So I supported him, even though I knew it was risky when he started walking towards the girl with cautious steps. But then the girl immediately trusted Nigel. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but he was smiling at the girl, and I knew right from there that he succeeded. The girl's name is Sophie, and she took refuge in the United Pack. It's another human but hunter, but nobody said anything as Cloud and the other alphas instructed. No one put up a fight about it. Everyone respects the great alpha and the other alphas and lunas, but they also respect the guardians and my mate, especially he's the human host of Selene. I look at my mate now, who is deep in thought. His eyes are focused on the ceiling, and he has his lips pursed. I nudge him and his eyes meet mine, and he lets out a small smile that has my heart racing. Nigel has a power to do that to me, to make me feel like a high school girl who just met her first crush. "What are you thinking?" I ask him, brushing my thumb across his cheek. "I think it's time to make the relation between the werewolves and the other entities to be stronger," Nigel responds, his tongue tracing his bottom lip. My eyes follow the movement. That includes the vampire race. "The werewolves and the vampires do not have good history," I chuckle. "It goes way back in the past, a long story. The werewolves learned to stay away from the vampires, and they did the same thing. Ever since then, there's no interaction between the two races." "Why?" "The next guardian is going to be in the vampire race." I prop my elbows and look intently at my mate. "Next guardian. Vampire. And he will have a role in Kyle's life. I foresaw it." "Do you think it's good?" "Let's just hope it is. Tomorrow we'll tell them about this." I kiss his forehead. "I love you," he grins. My wolf whistles. "I love you more than the bond itself." And then we kiss under the moonlight, draping the towel over us.